Indeed. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday, September the 29th, 2025, 8:02 a.m. Thank you for being here. We know you have many choices to make every single day, and we're always so very, very grateful that you choose to spend some time with us. So thank you. You know the drill. Tapping is clapping, liking is loving, sharing is caring. Don't forget, join our team if you haven't yet. There's a gifting goal today. Also, we are crowdfunded here. You want to support the channel, you can do so. All the various things are at Factsstillmatter. If you want me to read a note, just say so, and I'd be happy to do that. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate you. Another reminder, I should say, to join our Discord. Lots of the stuff that we discuss on our show, in fact, almost all of it, end up in the Discord. Just please go through the verification steps so we can invite you to the party. And when I say party, I mean party. So yeah, I appreciate you guys. There's really a lot to cover today. We've got more examples of the firearm epidemic in our country with more mass shootings over the weekend. We've got more reporting on the James Comey indictment, which is wild because Kash Patel is now contradicting the president, which probably isn't going to end well. We've got the commander of war gathering generals and generals gathered in their masses, apparently. Tomorrow in Quantico, the president has mentioned the fact that he's going to join him. We've got the government scheduled to shut down tomorrow. We've got Mike Johnson intentionally delaying the swearing in of a newly elected Democrat, which would put the number at 218. Again, we've got the government shutdown, and then we've got this craziness on True Social over the weekend. There was a moment when we were in the midst of still learning details of good morning, everybody. Hi there, Commander of War, exactly. We were still learning the details of the situation in North Carolina, the situation in Michigan. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. But over the weekend, during the midst of all this, on True Social, like literally in the middle of all this, the country was still reeling from another example of firearm violence. And by the way, it was not a member of the queer community, not an immigrant, not a black person. So there's that. Mr. Trump posted this on True Social. Some of the highest quality 24-karat gold used in the Oval Office and cabinet room of the White House. Foreign leaders and everyone else freak out when they see the quality and beauty. Best Oval Office ever in terms of success and look. President DJT, I am so glad that he's focused on children who are starving in communities. Oh, wait, he's not. Instead, he's focused on the gold in the Oval Office. The same people that vote for him said that he's a man of the people. I don't know, but I don't lay out my gold for all the world to see. So yeah, there's that. We're also going to talk about the situation in Portland because there's another cover-up going on there. And of course, the Epstein files because there's now reporting about Elon Musk's name and Peter Thiel's name and Steve Bannon's name. And speaking of Elon Musk, there is reporting from SpaceX. I'll get to that story in just a minute. That's a wild one as well. If you know, you know. So, additionally, over the weekend on True Social, Lie Central, have you reserved? Yeah, I'm going there right now. There was a post made, and I guess the easiest thing for me to do is just play it. Jake Tapper reported on it. This post has since been taken down, but I'm going to play this for you because it just speaks to the gullible nature that is his MAGA supporters and how pathetic the sitting president of the United States would use something like this to promote whatever. Here you go.
I know we've gotten all kind of numb to the odd and misinforming and strange stuff that politicians these days post on social media, including our president. But last night at 10:19 p.m. Eastern, President Trump posted this.
Breaking now. President Donald J. Trump has announced a historic new healthcare system.
Oh, cool.
The launch of America's first medbed hospitals and a national medbed card for every citizen.
Sweet.
Every American will soon receive their own medbed card.
Oh.
With it, you'll have guaranteed access to our new hospitals led by the top doctors.
Wow, that sounds fucking great. Has this been the healthcare plan we've been waiting for forever?
In the nation.
I'm interrupting just a second. Apologies to make sure you understand that none of this report is real.
Oh.
It is AI doing a fake Lara Trump Fox report. None of this is real. Medbeds are not real. I'll tell you more about them in a second, but I just wanted to make sure you got that. Anyway, here's the rest of this bogus news report that
interesting.
President Trump shared for some reason.
Equipped with the most advanced technology in the world. These facilities are safe, modern, and designed to restore every citizen to full health and strength.
Again, this is not a real video, and now this is President Trump re-truthing, if that's what you call it on Truth Social, his social media thing, re-truthing a post that is AI of his daughter-in-law, AI of his favorite channel, Fox, and AI of him talking about medbeds, which if you are sane, you don't know that medbeds are a conspiracy theory popular with QAnon people.
Yeah.
In which there exist these magic beds that restore limbs and reverse aging and cure anything that befalls the human body, but they're only available to the rich and elite. And this, of course, is President Trump offering med beds to everyone. But it's a conspiracy theory and the whole thing's not true.
That's right.
What? I asked the White House what was the deal with the president posting this and then deleting it. He did delete it. And if they say anything, I'll let you know.
I had no idea that medbeds were even a thing. I mean, I'd heard about it, but I did not realize the rabbit hole that it went down. So just as here you go. In Q communities, medbeds, short for medical beds, are said to be highly advanced secret healing technologies allegedly suppressed by governments, big pharma, or the deep state. Supporters claim these beds can instantly cure cancer, AIDS, and other degenerative diseases, reverses aging or regenerates limbs, uses tachyon energy, plasma fields, or quantum healing, and then they eliminate the need for traditional medicine in hospitals. The narrative often appears alongside ideas about hidden Tesla technology, alien tech back engineered by the military, or secret humanitarian programs to be released after the storm. A supposed coming mass arrest of elites in the QAnon lore. This is F1 in the chat, please. TikTok, this is for educational purposes only. Q forums, late 2010, the medbed idea didn't appear in the original Q drops. It emerged later from fringe websites and Telegram channels that mixed Q rhetoric with new age and secret tech conspiracies. Okay, before Q, there was a long-running internet hoax about hidden prosperity programs and miraculous technologies being withheld from the public. The medbed idea is essentially a repackaged version of that. People like Michael Jacobs, Simon Parks, or Charlie Ward have promoted medbed stories often alongside donation or sign-up schemes. There's no credible evidence of any of this, of course. No patents, clinical trials, or any verifiable demonstrations exist for technology remotely resembling a medbed. The claims, instant tissue regeneration, age reversal, total disease elimination, violate known limits of biology and energy transfer. Some groups solicit donations or sell appointments for non-existent medbeds. Even the U.S. military and legitimate DARPA medical projects like advanced prosthetics, tissue engineering, or regenerative medicine are nowhere near what medbed believers prescribe. Q narrative fits the larger myth of a hidden utopia just around the corner. Appeals to hope. People facing illness, aging, or chronic conditions are drawn to miracle cures. So take advantage of those that are ultimately are in a very gullible state. Mix of conspiracy and spirituality combines anti-establishment ideas, big pharma, hides the cures with new age healing, quantum and or vibration types of healing. Medbeds are a conspiracy theory fantasy, not a suppressed technology, while real medical research is making big advances, gene therapy, 3D printed organs, immunotherapy, etc. Nothing like the medbeds exist anywhere. I say that because our president truthed that over the weekend and then took it down. Listen, if there's a medbed and, might help certain people.
Hey now.
I'm just saying. Thank you. I'm just saying, That's fucking wild. It was taken down. So they literally jumped on a Q conspiracy theory, one of the most wildest, outlandish Q conspiracy theories there is. The president of the United States uses his Truth Social platform to post it. to millions of followers, tens of millions of followers. That's fucking wild. Are you leaving?
Not yet.
Okay.
In like 2 seconds.
I love you.
Love you.
Be safe, be kind, be gentle.
Okay.
Have a good day. One more day.
I know, one more.
Sorry, the birthday is tomorrow. There is a movie like this. There should be. There should be a movie like this. Like, do people understand? Some people are going to say this is a joke. I don't know how long it was up. It was up for I think it was up for a day at least. Like what? Like what? Elysium. That's the one. That's the one I was thinking of. That's right. Elysium. Thank you. Like a Tom Cruise movie, I think, right? Anyway, exactly. It was up long enough for people to know. And what are people going to say? So don't forget, we know that there's a large chunk of what was the language that they spoke in? There's a particular language. Matt Damon, thank you. That's right. The numerical language that Q uses to communicate, right? Gematria? Is it gematria? I think it might be gematria. Anyway, there's a whole group of people that are hardcore Q conspiracy nuts who support Trump. So they've been jumping on this thinking, yeah, here it is. The elites have had this all along. Now we get access to it too. That is just fucking wild. But should any of us be surprised? Probably not. My gosh. Okay. I want to talk about the James Comey thing because I don't think people really understand the severity of what it is that we're talking about. Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing because tapping is clapping, liking is loving, sharing is caring. I appreciate y'all very, very much. There's nearly 800 people in here. See if we can get the shares up. And don't forget about our likes. And don't forget, if you haven't joined our team yet, please consider doing so. And again, we're crowdfunded. Nothing's expected, but it's always appreciated. Thank y'all very, very much. Okay. So three things that are happening as it relates specifically to the Comey situation. First of all, this entire thing is based on a Senate testimony that James Comey gave back in 2020. So the entire basis for this case is connected to this testimony. So it's Ted Cruz interviewing James Comey, and I'll play you the sound.
Russian asset. All right, let's shift to another topic. On May 3rd, 2017, in this committee, Chairman Grassley asked you point blank, quote, have you ever been an anonymous source in news reports about matters relating to the Trump investigation or the Clinton investigation? You responded under oath, quote, never. He then asked you, quote, have you ever authorized someone else at the FBI to be an anonymous source in news reports about the Trump investigation or the Clinton administration? You responded again under oath, no. Now, as you know, Mr. McCabe, who works for you, has publicly and repeatedly stated that he leaked information to the Wall Street Journal and that you were directly aware of it and that you directly authorized it. Now, what Mr. McCabe is saying and what you testified to this committee cannot both be true. One or the other is false.
I pulled up the McCabe testimony, by the way, so I will read you what Andrew McCabe said, because what Ted Cruz just said is a flat-out lie, okay? But I'm sure you're really surprised by that.
False. Who's telling the truth?
I can only speak to my testimony. I stand by what the testimony you summarized that I gave in May of 2017.
So your testimony is you've never authorized anyone to leak. And Mr. McCabe, if he says contrary, is not telling the truth. Is that correct?
Again, I'm not going to characterize Andy's testimony, but mine is the same today.
All right, I'm going to make a final point because my time has expired. This investigation of the president was corrupt. The FBI and the Department of Justice were politicized and weaponized. And in my opinion, there are only two possibilities: that you were deliberately corrupt or woefully incompetent.
Interesting. So their entire case is around whether or not James Comey lied during that Senate testimony. His claim was, no, I didn't authorize it. It wasn't me. I didn't authorize it. So then that got me thinking, okay, what did Andrew McCabe, Andy, that they mentioned there, what did he say in his testimony? because that's a big, so that's the line, right, to say that someone's lying. Well, in a Senate Judiciary hearing on September 30th, 2020, McCabe said that he had no information that Comey ever served or authorized someone to be an anonymous source. Asked point blank if Comey had authorized or directed people to be anonymous media sources, McCabe said, "I'm not aware of Director Comey authorizing or directing anybody to do that." So Ted Cruz flat out just lied to people, because that is the testimony. That is from the transcript. So again, in a Senate Judiciary hearing on September 30th, 2020, McCabe said he had no information that Comey ever served as or authorized someone to be an anonymous source. Asked point blank if Comey had authorized or directed people to be anonymous media sources, McCabe answered, quote, "I am not aware of Director Comey authorizing or directing people to be anonymous sources for the media." He also noted that the FBI director and deputy director are the two officials who can authorize releasing info to the press. So Ted Cruz just lied. He lied in an attempt to make an argument, and here's the proof.
People to whom they could speak is trying to recruit. Your testimony is you didn't know. Did it occur to you to ask?
Hold on.
Recently about this.
Tell the FISA court that
Hold
your
on.
application in this committee, Chairman Grassley asked you point blank, quote, "Have you ever been an anonymous source in news reports about matters relating to the Trump investigation or the Clinton investigation?" You responded under oath, quote, "Never." He then asked you, quote, "Have you ever authorized someone else at the FBI to be an anonymous source in news reports about the Trump investigation or the Clinton administration?" You responded again under oath, "No." Now, as you know, Mr. McCabe, who works for you, has publicly and repeatedly stated that he leaked information to the Wall Street Journal and that you were directly aware of it and that you directly authorized it.
That, again, is a lie. Andrew McCabe's own words. In a Senate Judiciary hearing on September 30th, 2020, McCabe said he had no information that Comey ever served as or authorized someone to be an anonymous source. Asked point blank if Comey had authorized or directed people to be an anonymous media source, McCabe answered, and I quote, this is in the Congressional record, "I am not aware of Director Comey authorizing or directing people to be anonymous sources for the media." Ted is a flat-out liar. So again, this sound is coming up now. By the way, that date is significant, September 30th, because statute of limitations expires tomorrow, which is why the urgency came around indicting him or attempting to indict him. So it's a flat out lie from Ted Cruz. It's a flat out lie. He tried to use Andrew McCabe's testimony, and I'm not defending either McCabe or Comey. I mean, don't forget, Donald Trump owes James Comey a lot, including perhaps getting him elected the first time, and now they want to go after him. Interesting. That's another story. We'll pull on that thread in just a moment. But Andrew McCabe contradicts in his own testimony that Ted Cruz attempted to manipulate. He used his own testimony. I'm a liar? What am I not playing? What am I not playing? I'm not playing the whole clip? That's what this is based on. Billiam, that's what this is what the indictment is based on. Do you not know that? It's based on that testimony, claiming that he lied to Congress. So, and if you don't believe me, I don't care if you don't believe me, because he was charged with, the indictment claims Comey falsely told Congress that he did not authorize anyone at the FBI to serve as an anonymous source of the media. False statement under 18 U.S. Code 1001, and then obstruction of a congressional proceeding. The indictment alleges that Comey obstructed a congressional hearing investigation into leaks of sensitive information. That's under 18 U.S. Code 1505. So I don't know what to tell you, but that's the unfortunate part about people who live in the world of conspiracies. Have you put your order in yet for your med bed? I mean, I've heard it's a BOGO. If you buy one today, and actually if you use the code @Factsstillmatter and use Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal, I'll be sure that you get that discount. Again, These are the indictments, 2 counts. False statement, 18 U.S. Code 1001. The indictment claims Comey falsely told Congress that he did not authorize anyone at the FBI to serve as an anonymous source to the media. Ted Cruz, that testimony right there is the key to this case. That testimony, that's what they referred to in the indictment, okay? Ted Cruz flat out lied because Andrew McCabe, similarly, under oath, said the same thing. No. Totally. Nope. And then obstruction of a congressional proceeding. The indictment alleges that Comey obstructed a congressional investigation into leaks of sensitive information. The third proposed false statement count was reportedly considered but rejected by the grand jury, which apparently is extremely rare. I'm going to get reported for lying. Okay, Daniel. Appreciate you. We'll just move you aside. I know it's tough for you guys. I understand. I know it's really, really hard to accept the reality, and you are so desperate to use lawfare and weaponization of government to go after political enemies because the president told you he was going to do that. But the story gets even juicier because of who's now responsible to bring this case before the grand jury and ultimately try it, although we don't know. This person's name, by the way, is Lindsay Halligan. Lindsay Halligan is the person who replaced Mr. Siebert, who was a well-respected Trump-appointed U.S. attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia, and that's the group that brought the charges before. Everybody in that office said there's no evidence here. There's no crime. The legal experts, even pro-Trumpers, are like, there's no evidence here. There is no crime. So they fire Siebert or force him to resign. A couple of days later, they bring in Lindsay Halligan, and the U.S. attorney doesn't bring cases before doesn't bring cases before the grand jury. Usually somebody from the office. So it's extremely rare. And we're going to talk about just in a moment how unbelievably incompetent she is in just a moment. But here's a little bit of history as to who this person is. This is Lindsay Halligan.
Classrooms shouldn't be stages upon which teachers can preach their various indoctrination masquerading as eternal truths. And similarly, museums that are over 70% funded by the federal government shouldn't be laboratories for political experiments. And so what we're doing is we just sent a letter to the Smithsonian asking for all information regarding their exhibits and their placards to try to get to the bottom of what happened and where the Smithsonian went wrong, and try to make the Smithsonian amazing and great and live up to what the president wants the Smithsonian and DC to be. It's the capital of our city, and we need to make it amazing and great and beautiful.
Yeah, Lindsay, I mean, obviously, Charlotte and I both lived in D.C. for a number of years. I love the Smithsonian's and visiting them, taking family and friends there. And we often talk about preserving history in museums and not erasing it. But how do you balance that? That, we need to be able to review this while honoring even our not so pleasant past.
Yeah, I mean, it's not about whitewashing. It's all about full context.
Ooh.
So while slavery is obviously a horrible aspect of our nation's history, you can't really talk about slavery honestly unless you also talk about hope and progress.
What? You can't talk about, this is the quote, you can't talk about slavery honestly unless you also talk about hope and progress. Okay. I'm sure that's just taken out of context, right? Okay. Anyway, that is the person who's in charge. That is the person who's now in charge of this office attempting to prosecute this case. And again, the entire case is based on that testimony that he lied before Congress. The only person who lied in that testimony was Ted Cruz, because he claimed that Andrew McCabe said something that he did not say, according to the congressional record. So let's go a little bit deeper, shall we? Because the deeper, the better, right? Abso-fucking-lutely. This is part of the sort of people who are the legal experts in this community. Sorry.
Hey now.
Missed that. People in the legal community that are witnessing what's been happening are just blown away. Thank you, Switch Readers, that have just been blown away by this person who's been appointed and then the facts of this case. So Ken Delanian reports for NBC News. Here's some of what he had to say, and then I've got some elements of the transcript that's going to just blow your mind.
Awkwardness in the courtroom because two different versions of the indictment, as I understand it, were presented, and the judge questioned what was going on and noted that Halligan had signed both of them. It had to do with the confusion, I think, over the third count being no-billed by the grand jury. But that just underscored just how new she is at this. And it's raising questions on who is going to prosecute this case. Is it going to be Lindsay Halligan, who has no prosecutorial experience? Will they have to bring in somebody from the outside? Because it appears that nobody inside that office, the Eastern District of Virginia, is prepared to do it. There was a little awkwardness in the court.
So that's wild. Scott, I just sent you an invite. I'm curious because you said that case is more than just a testimony. Feds don't charge on a case with such limited detail. It's what they just did. So it's if you think it's more than that, I would be curious. So the judge was kind of caught off guard, right? The judge was just caught off guard because of like, what are you doing? Well, it gets even better or worse, depending on how you want to look at it, because this is the court transcript from the event, from that particular interaction that Ken Delanian was just discussing. So this is a conversation between Magistrate Judge Vala and then Lindsay Halligan, this is her first attempt at indicting someone. Okay, this is her first attempt. She's an insurance lawyer, never prosecuted a case before in her life. Okay, so this is a conversation from the transcript, the court record of what Ken Delanian was just talking about, the court. So this has never happened before. I've been handed two documents that are in the Mr. Comey case that are inconsistent with one another. The one that says it's a failure to concur in an indictment, it doesn't say with respect to one count. It looks like they failed to concur across all three counts. So I'm a little confused as to why I was handed two things with the same case number that are so inconsistent. Ms. Halligan, so I only reviewed the one with the two counts that our office redrafted when we found out about the two counts that were true billed, and I signed that one. I did not see the other one. I don't know where that came from. The court, you didn't see it? Ms. Halligan, I did not see that one. The court, so your office didn't prepare the indictment Ms. Halligan, no. I prepared three counts. I only signed the two count. I don't know which one with three counts you have in your hands. The court, okay, but it has your signature on it. Ms. Halligan, okay, well, what? What? The last part is the best. You didn't see it? Ms. Halligan, I didn't see that one. The court. So your office didn't prepare the indictments that they... No. I know. I prepared three counts. I only signed the two count. I don't know which one with the three counts you have in your hands. The court. Okay, but it has your signature on it. Okay, well... So no evidence, lies told by Ted Cruz, contradictions told by Ted Cruz, incompetent is a compliment. Incompetent U.S. attorney attempting to try a case that she's never tried before, going before the grand jury. Typically speaking, the grand jury accepts whatever the prosecutors are attempting to indict on. They kicked one out because of lack of evidence, and here we are. The argument is that you can indict a ham sandwich. So it's not a surprise that an indictment came down, but there's no evidence. People in the office, people in the legal community in her own department, in her own office are like, there's no evidence here. Like, what the fuck are we going to prosecute on? There's no evidence. None. So good luck with that, though. Good luck with that. But the story gets even better over the weekend because there's some how do I want to put this? There's some dissension in the ranks. because related to this story and the FBI and how Donald Trump has always thought that the FBI was out to get him, there was a Truth Social post that he made yesterday. It was, I'll do this.
It was just revealed that the FBI had secretly placed, against all rules, regulations, protocols, and standards, 274 FBI agents into the crowd just prior to and during the January 6th hoax. This is different from what Christopher Wray stated over and over again. That's right. As it now turns out, FBI agents were at and in the January 6th protest, probably acting as agitators and insurrectionists, but certainly not as law enforcement officials. I want to know who in each and every one of these so-called agents are and what they were up to on that now historic day. Many great American patriots were made to pay a very big price only for the love of their country. I owe this investigation of dirty cops and crooked politicians to them. Christopher Wray, the then director of the FBI, has some major explaining to do. That's 2 in a row, Comey and Wray, who got caught lying with our great country at stake. We can never let this happen to America again. DJT.
So it's interesting, right? It's interesting that there's this rumor swirling around about 274 FBI agents, right? Of course, there's no source that I could find that would back that up. Here's the problem: when your own FBI director goes on the weekend news shows and disputes that claim, you got a little problem. Kash Patel contradicts Donald Trump's claims about the FBI on January 6th. This is reporting by Newsweek. FBI Director Kash Patel has disputed Trump's claim that undercover bureau agents under former FBI Director Christopher Wray provoked the J6 attack on the U.S. Capitol, saying instead they were deployed on a crowd control mission after the breach had happened, but did not amount to instigating. Interesting. Patel's comments show a rare split from Trump's narrative as the president continues to shift blame for the riot away from his supporters. The remarks also reopen scrutiny of how FBI managed its presence during the attack, with Patel's accusing his predecessor Wray of misleading Congress about the Bureau's role. The dispute highlights ongoing political battles over the legacy of January 6th and how responsibility is framed. Interesting. Really, really interesting. So you've got Kash Patel literally contradicting the president. So, because the president said, you just heard it. The president said, it now turns out FBI agents were at and in the J6 protests, acting as agitators and insurrectionists. Bold statement. And then when your FBI director says, no, they were deployed on a crowd control mission that breached Bureau protocol, but did not amount to instigation. Interesting. So, who do we believe? Who do we believe? So the FBI director, with every opportunity to double down in support of his boss, said, no, that's not what happened. Funny how no other news agencies aside from the far right subreddit pages. Crazy. But again, nothing to see here. Story gets even a little bit deeper just because of the relationship that the FBI, I should say, the leadership in the FBI has in the MAGA world now. Because is something like this going to cost Kash Patel his job? Maybe. I don't know, but maybe. Okay, so then let's go down to this section. Do I have this? The grand jury indicted Comey on 2 counts while rejecting a third proposed false statement account. There's reporting of internal tension in the Eastern District of Virginia's U.S. Attorney's Office, including resignations of prosecutors and concerns that the evidence was just insufficient. Lindsay Halligan, former Trump-appointed U.S. attorney, a former Trump lawyer, appointed U.S. attorney, personally presented the case to the grand jury, which is an extremely unusual move. Many observers view this indictment in the context of President Trump's ongoing campaign against perceived political adversaries. Critics warn the move risks undermining Justice Department independence and has raised concerns of politicization of prosecutors. Comey's daughter, Maureen Comey, who was fired earlier and is now suing the federal government, claiming political motivation and her termination, continues to be part of the surrounding narrative. The indictment was filed just before the statute of limitations runs out, which would be tomorrow. Comey's expected to appear for his initial court appearance arraignment, reportedly scheduled for October the 9th. The indictment itself is very short, 2 pages. It centers around allegations that Comey lied to Congress in 2020 about authorizing the FBI leak and obstructed a congressional proceeding. We know from the lies at Ted Cruz that Comey's been consistent. I'm not defending James Comey. I'm just defending the rule of law here. The grand jury did not return 103 proposed counts, meaning prosecutors dropped a third false statement charge. Some analysts suggest that a conviction may not be the DOJ's primary goal, but rather the indictment serves as a symbolic or political measure to exert pressure. Former White House lawyer Ty Cobb strongly criticized the indictment, calling it wholly unconstitutional and a political move. The appointment of Lindsay Halligan as interim U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, with no prior prosecutorial experience, is drawing scrutiny and criticism, especially given the speed with which the indictment was brought after her appointment. Senator Amy Klobuchar called the indictment a vengeance prosecution, arguing it's politically motivated and raising concerns about the DOJ's independence. Former FBI Director Andrew McCabe said he was not aware of Comey authorizing leaks, providing a cautious response to one of the central allegations. Trump has hinted that others may be targeted next, suggesting Trump has hinted that others may be targeted next, suggesting this is part of a broader campaign against perceived political adversaries. In response, some critics, including conservative legal commentators, are framing it as lawfare, arguing that the indictment lacks strong legal footing and is more about political theater. In a Senate Judiciary hearing on September 30th, 2020, McCabe said he had no information that Comey ever served as or authorized someone to be an anonymous source. So there's that.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Doing well, sir. We spoke many months ago now, probably 5 or 6 months. And I think when we spoke the last time, you were pretty sure by this time there would be some kind of restraint placed on the president. And I want to that point you had made, I wanted to say that indictments are in and of themselves enough to ruin a career. I mean, once you're indicted, you're done. You're not going to find a job anywhere. I think that's the goal here. I think Trump realized that the way to...
I don't think that's true. I think it has to do with the legitimacy of the indictment.
Oh, no, I mean, that there is that. But I mean, when you're indicted, there's doors that close. That's irrefutable.
I disagree with that. That may be your opinion, but I mean, again, an indictment, the argument you can indict a ham sandwich.
Oh yeah.
So did Donald Trump defeats your Trump prophet? Donald Trump defeats your argument. He was indicted 4 times and won re-election. So it didn't really end his career, did it?
Well, but Donald Trump is an extraordinary person in every sense of the word. So I don't think that applies to him. He also was a sexual predator, extraordinary sexual predator, extraordinary fraud. There's no reasonable charges whatsoever that he was ever anything like a predator, ever. He was never found guilty of anything.
He was found civilly liable for SI.
Those charges that he was brought up on the
Trump prophet, was he or was he not found civilly liable for sexual assault? Yes or no?
Yeah, civilly. That's a different standard of proof, and it's a different charge.
What did the jury say he did?
They said there was a preponderance of evidence.
What did they say he did? What did they say he did?
What case? Are we talking about the EL, that lady?
I'm talking specifically. What did the jury say that he did?
Well, I know that he was found guilty of hush money charges. He was guilty of
Trump prophet. In the E. Jean Carroll sexual abuse case, what did the jury say that he did?
Was this? I guess he assaulted a woman in Bergdorf or something like that.
Do you know what they? If you don't know, just say I don't know.
No, I don't know really.
The jury said that he forcibly and deliberately penetrated her vagina with his fingers. What would you call that?
Well, I'd call that something else if it was filed anywhere near when it happened or it was a criminal charge. It came 10 years or 20 years after.
Stop being a grape apologist and answer the question. What would you call that? What if a family member of yours came up to you and said, I don't know if you have kids, a sister, a daughter, and said, somebody forcibly and deliberately penetrated my vagina with their fingers. What would you call that?
Well, I'd call that a reason to call the police.
Again, but what would you call what happened to them?
I technically don't know what that crime would be. It would be something like some kind of sexual crime. Some sort of sexual crime.
Some sort of. So you're okay with that? You voted for that?
Well, I didn't vote for it. I voted for him for other reasons, not because of the charges against him. But anyone,
so you don't care that he's a rapist. You don't care that he's a rapist.
It hasn't been conclusively proven that he is. And one last thing.
Yeah, it actually has. It actually has. You know what? Fuck you. Still, can you imagine false allegation? Can you imagine defending that? Man, oh man. Great argument, cuss and cut off. Are you a grape apologist too, Beckers? Probably not. You won't come up either because you're another grape apologist. Unbelievable. If you don't know so in an attempt when you're cornered like that, you have to ask yourself a question, right? So the jury ruled that he forcibly and deliberately penetrated her vagina with his fingers. That's what the jury ruled. So then your argument is that the jury is corrupt, that the jury is wrong, that it was in New York, that it was just her word versus his, not how fucking horrible was that what that person did. Like how disgusting what that person did. Like how unbelievably awful what that person did. Wild. Good morning, Chris. How are you today?
Morning, Steve. I'm good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
Hey, I just want to say for that last guest, I think it's in the appeals documents. You can see where the judge himself stated that Donald Trump raped E. Jean Carroll. Like it is in that document. It literally says. The statute of limitations has changed and the language has now changed I should say the rules regarding rape in New York at the time had to be penile penetration. They have now changed it. So right. Yes, the judge was very, very clear to say, it was rape. So yeah, and I hope that guest is still in here so we can hear that. It's the memorandum that was filed sometime in 2023. It's pages 44 and 45 where he states it. Just if he wants to know. I have that bookmarked for this reason, because this argument comes up so many times and it's so stupid. And all you have to do is a quick Google search and a little bit of reading.
Exactly. I appreciate that, Chris. Thanks a lot, buddy, for being here. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. See you later. It's true. It's true. It's funny. I'm not a grape apologist. I can call balls and strikes. We can certainly say exactly what it is, and that's how desperate people are when you've attached your entire identity. When you walk around with your PFP as whatever the fuck it was, Trump prophet, and everybody else is responsible for something. Everybody else is responsible except the person who actually did it. It's crazy. So, anyway, that's what we're dealing with, which is why we will not relent on talking about it. So back to the conversation that we were just having. Let me just double check here on something real quick. So fucking wild to me that people will go that far to try to defend it. I'm good. Thank you, Swish. I appreciate it. Thank you, Swish. Hearts in the chat for Swish. She raids us every single day. It's just her today, but thank you for your donation on the green appetizer. I appreciate you very, very much. You're very kind. And also thank you to Marcy. Thank you, Marcy, for your $2 on the other one for that contribution. That to me was sort of emblematic of one of the challenges that we face every single day, because it doesn't matter what this guy does. It just doesn't matter. Everybody else is to blame. Every single time the right gets excited about something, James Comey, when should we expect the indictment for Bill Clinton? When should we expect the indictment for Barack Obama? When all these kinds of things, it's just a bunch of bullshit to try to avert the eyes away from the fact that Donald Trump's a fucking predator. And what's really bad is that they tell on themselves often. So this is an interview with Pam Bondi. Again, when they attempt to, first of all, when they tell on themselves out loud. So this is Pam Bondi on just a few days ago with Sean Hannity. And I just want you to hear her answer. This is crazy.
All the way through the Hunter Biden laptop suppressed, all the way through weaponization. Pam, I'm nervous for the country when I put it all together.
You shouldn't be nervous any longer because Donald Trump is in office and the weaponization has ended.
Okay. So you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about it any longer because Donald Trump is in office and the weaponization has ended. And in the same thought, without even taking a breath, she then says this.
We've made that very clear. Whether you're a former FBI director, whether you're a former head of an intel community, whether you are a current state or local elected official, whether you're a billionaire funding organizations to try to keep Donald Trump out of office, everything is on the table.
What?
We will investigate you and we will end the weaponization. No longer will there be a two-tier system of justice. And we are working hand in hand, Director Patel and I, Todd Blanche, with our incredible intel community, Tulsi Gabbard, John Radcliffe, going nonstop around the clock. People will be held accountable.
All the way through.
So John Radcliffe and Tulsi Gabbard are going at it around the clock? Hey now. All right. Well, again, just listen to what she says. Just listen to what she says, okay? Sean Hannity is concerned about the weaponization of government, because that's all we heard for 5 fucking years or more. Weaponization this, weaponization of that, corrupt prosecutors, corrupt DA, corrupt judges, corrupt courts, corrupt lawyers, corrupt, mailroom attendants, corrupt, stock boys, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They're all corrupt. So Sean Hannity's concerned. So he brings it up to Pam Bondi.
The Hunter Biden laptop suppressed, all the way through weaponization. Pam, I'm nervous for the country when I put it all together.
You shouldn't be nervous any longer because Donald Trump is in office and the weaponization has ended. We've made that very clear. Whether you're a former FBI director, whether you're a former head of an intel community, whether you are a current state or local elected official, whether you're a billionaire funding organizations to try to keep Donald Trump out of office, everything is on the table. We will investigate you and we will end the weaponization. No longer will there be a two-tier system of justice. And we are working hand in hand, Director Patel and I, Todd Blanche, with our incredible intel community, Tulsi Gabbard, John Radcliffe, going nonstop around the clock.
Hey now.
People will be held accountable.
So I don't think Pam Bondi has ever had any media training. Because if you're going to go to your safe space, right? Well, it doesn't matter to her and to Sean Hannity because, you're speaking to the people who want weaponization of government, even though they claim that they don't want weaponization of government. So here's Pam Bondi standing up or sitting down or talking or whatever, saying, Donald Trump's in charge now. Don't worry. There's no more weaponization of government unless we go after the people and unless we weaponize the government against people who we consider political enemies and political rivals and people out to get us. And how can people sit there and just be okay with that? That's the part that really is interesting to me, to be honest, but we shouldn't be surprised. So there's that. So there's that whole thing about literally, don't forget that statement that Trump made specifically was the Pam What are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? Why are we not going after people? Okay. I also want to go back to. I'm going to play something now for you from the Daily Caller because I've got some more reporting on this. I played this the other day. You're going to hear a gentleman by the name of Dylan Hausman, who's the editor-in-chief of the Daily Caller, and I'm going to share this with you now because there's more reporting of some interesting language that's come out of the mouths of other people who are also editors at the Daily Caller. So I'll play this sound for you first, and I'll be right back.
I think that the people they're arresting are people that were suspected or charged with crimes for the most part, as far as I know.
You think the gay hairdresser? Andre? You think he was a gang member? What do you think his job was in Trent Aragua? Was he doing hair and makeup, or what do you think was his role?
I don't think the gay hairdresser was doing hair and makeup for Trent Aragua. I think that if he was here, if people are here illegally, then we need to deport them and
to foreign prisons with no due process. We should send them to a prison in a third country with no due process, and the government should lie about who they were. You're okay with that?
I'm not okay with the government lying to them about who people are.
But they lie. I mean, that's a simple question. Do you think they lie?
The idea that before the Trump administration, that every single criminal case or deportation case or anything that's ever happened in the United States was all on the up and up, and every I was dotted and T.
Well, of course not. But we never sent people to a foreign prison camp before this time. Like that was.
Yeah, but I have no problem with people that have links to gangs being sent to a foreign prison.
But you just said you assume some of them didn't. You assume some of them didn't.
I'm sure mistakes happen, and then you can rectify mistakes if they happen.
That's a pretty bad mistake. Sending somebody that's not a gang member to a foreign prison for 4 months.
People on death row get executed by mistake throughout American history. All this, it's not. It's not
just because other bad things happen. This is my issue, man. Wow. I don't understand why you're so hesitant to just admit that this is a bad thing. You don't have to talk about other bad things that happened in history. Like, sure, like if you believe the administration sent people that were not gang members to a foreign prison and lied about it?
I have not reviewed every single person that got sent to CCOS.
But do you think that? What do you think?
I would think that there might have been some mistakes, because in law enforcement there are always mistakes that happen, and you hope that you can correct them. What I reject is, of course it happens, and you need to try to fix it. And it's bad if it happens, and it's bad to lie about it if somebody's lying about it.
They obviously lied about it. I mean,
okay. I think that.
So again, that's Dylan Hausman, editor-in-chief of the Daily Caller. Now, we went through the exercise through Media Bias Fact Check the other day. The Daily Caller is far right. They are the kind of institution that needs to be fact-checked on every single story that they report. Known conspiracy theorists, known spreaders of misinformation, known propagandists, far right. That's who they are, okay? So there's that. Additionally, they're still in the news. Okay, this is reporting by the New York Times. Daily Caller opinion column explicitly calls for violence. The column by editor-at-large Jeffrey Ingersoll calls for, quote, blood in the streets in response to violence against conservatives. The Daily Caller, a prominent conservative online publication, published an opinion column on Friday explicitly calling for violence in response to physical assaults on conservatives in America. The column, written by editor-at-large Jeffrey Ingersoll and promoted near the top of the site, argues that, quote, patriots should use force because law enforcement officials do not adequately protect conservatives, including Charlie Kirk, the activist assassinated this past month. Is this a call for violence? The third paragraph says, yes, explicitly it is. Quote, I want blood in the streets, he added in the column, which ran with a headline, enough is enough, I choose violence, in all caps. Mr. Ingersoll also lays out, F1 in the chat, please, guys. Mr. Ingersoll also lays out specific situations in which he says violence should be used. If a progressive activist takes a sign away at a public debate, quote, she gets instantly clotheslined. So now we can add MAGA's afraid of signs. Okay. Again, if a progressive activist takes a sign away at a public debate, she gets instantly clotheslined. I don't think it's a coincidence that he used the word she. Mr. Ingersoll wrote, I don't care if police are present, do it anyway. In fact, be wildly disproportionate. Quote, measure it in blood if necessary, he added. Change requires pain, and you're either taking it or inflicting it. Dylan Hausman, who we just heard, the Daily Caller's editor-in-chief, said the column did not represent the views of every editor at the publication, but he defended the column, saying it describes acts of self-defense, including a recent case in which a woman struck an anti-abortion activist. I'm sorry, but in the article it says, one more time, where was it? If a progressive activist takes a sign away at a public debate, she gets instantly clotheslined? That's self-defense? We defending the sign? Dylan Hausman says he defended the column, saying it describes acts of self-defense. Quote, Jeff's case is that said person should perhaps get punched back because it's pretty clear the cops aren't going to do a damn thing about it, Mr. Hausman said. I don't think that's a radical suggestion. He added that attempts to paint Mr. Ingersoll's column as a call for political violence is, quote, totally dishonest. But Jimmy Kimmel not even alluding to anything other than what MAGA tried to do, deflect away from the story connected to Charlie Kirk, that apparently is a bridge too far. Okay. The Daily Caller said would never publish someone calling for violence simply over political disagreement. That paragraph again. He added that attempts to paint Mr. Ingersoll's column as a call for political violence is, quote, totally dishonest, adding that the Daily Caller would, quote, never publish someone calling for violence simply over political disagreement. Again, the quote, if a progressive activist takes a sign, a progressive, that would imply political affiliation, a progressive. If a progressive activist takes a sign away at a public debate, she gets instantly clotheslined. I don't care if police are present. Do it anyway. In fact, be wildly disproportionate. Measure it in blood if necessary. Change requires plain pain, and you're either taking it or inflicting it. Mr. Hausman said Mr. Ingersoll's column he added that the attempts to paint Mr. Ingersoll's column as a call for political violence is totally dishonest. And the Daily Caller would never publish someone calling for violence simply over political disagreement. Dude, you published it. Later on Friday, the Daily Caller added an editor's note at the top of the column making similar points. In the weeks since Mr. Kirk's death, many conservatives, including President Trump, have argued that progressives are responsible for much of the political violence in the country and have called for vengeance. Quote, we have radical left lunatics out there, and we just have to beat the hell out of them, Mr. Trump has said. Many Democrats have responded by pointing out several prominent violent attacks aimed at progressives, including the unaliving of Democratic state lawmaker in Minnesota and her husband and her dog, and an assault on the husband of former Speaker Nancy Pelosi. The column does not cite examples of recent violent crimes against liberals, now does it? Shocking. The Daily Caller was founded in 2010 by Tucker Carlson and Neil Patel, an advisor to former President Dick Cheney. The site is influential in conservative political and media circles, and some of its alumni have gone on to prominent roles in the mainstream media, places like CNN. Anchor Caitlin Collins used to work at the Daily Caller. In a series of messages to the New York Times, Mr. Ingersoll said that the column, initially labeled an editorial on the Daily Caller site, was a response to, quote, 10 years of watching aggravated acts of violence in public against conservatives go unpunished. Mr. Ingersoll, who was formerly the Daily Caller's editor-in-chief, said in his message that, quote, police, college administrators, campus cops, and wider legal systems would not provide security for conservatives and in some places wouldn't prosecute crimes caught on tape. So we should protect ourselves viciously and disproportionately violent if necessary. Okay. And again, we remind folks that according to the National Institute of Justice, in working with numerous agencies over the past 35 years, the FBI, DHS, CDC, Anti-Defamation League, Southern Poverty Law Council, the Cato Institute, all say the same thing. The overwhelming majority of politically oriented violence comes from the right. And it's not even close. Not even close. It's not even close. I just cited the ad. What did I cite? I don't know. Bobby J, how are you this morning?
What's going on? I've never seen someone cite the ADL and not like in a joking manner. Like, you seriously think they're a reputable organization? The ADL?
Is that the only one that I cited?
That's what the study came from. It's an ADL study. The FBI references the ADL study.
No, it came from the National Institute of Justice, Southern Poverty Law Council, Cato Institute, the ADL.
The Cato Institute references an ADL study.
Bobby,
what study are you referencing? Did you read the article?
I did. The National Institute of Justice. Did you read it?
Yeah, I did. It cites the ADL.
What does it say?
That's
what does it say?
Yeah, go to the methodology of this.
What does it say, Bobby? What does it say?
You want me to cite the entire article word for word?
What does it say?
What are you talking about? What does it say?
The article, the article, by the way, that was pulled down by the Department of Justice. What did it say?
Oh, yeah, it confirmed that the ADL's findings were correct. It said that right-wing violence is more prominent among Americans. You see it 70 to 80% of the time.
It's true.
But they cited the ADL, and that's stupid because the ADL is an advocacy group that is protects Jewish pedophiles.
It's not just
it was
the
created
ADL.
To protect pedophiles.
Again, so
you're a Leo Frank lover. You love Leo Frank.
Okay, get the fuck out of here. Jesus Christ. The ADL was just one source of information confirmed by other research study groups like the CDC, Southern Poverty Law Council, FBI, DHS. Significant examples. They all say the same thing. I'm sorry, Bobby. I'm really sorry. Really, really sorry. But that is the reality. And you know how we know? Because certain times, certain members of the right-wing circle who attempt to try to say that it's the left, they slip up on occasion. So this is Megyn Kelly, who just recently had a really bad moment. She was on the campus. I think she's on the campus of Virginia Tech. She's trying to slide in to become the next voice of Turning Point. So this is a wild conversation.
Why you support a president who contributes to the rhetoric that got your friend Charlie killed? We saw his rally recently. He said, "I hate my enemies." Stephen Miller said similar things. How can you support him when he contributed to what got Charlie killed?
Assumes facts, not evidence.
Oh.
What you said is not true.
70% of political violence is committed by Republicans.
It's true.
Look it up.
That's not
DOJ
true.
just pulled it.
True.
The DOJ just pulled it from their website. DOJ just pulled the study from their website because they're delusional.
That's not true because
they just pulled it. Look it up.
Once you pulled
it from their website.
Once you pull the crazies out of there, it is overwhelmingly left-wing violent.
Once you pull the crazies out of there? Once you pull the crazies out of there. Bobby, this is just for you.
Google it.
We have had...
Every single bit of it, they're delusional.
That's not true because
they just pulled it. Look it up.
Once you pulled
it from their website.
Once you pull the crazies out of there, it is overwhelming.
Once you pull the crazies out of there. Once you pull the crazies out of there?
Once you pull the crazies out of there, it is
on their website.
Once you pull the crazies out of there,
DOJ pulled it from their website.
Once you pull the crazies out of there, it is overwhelmingly left-wing violence.
Once you pull the crazies out of there, it is overwhelmingly left-wing violence. So how many crazies are we supposed to pull out, Bobby? How many are we supposed to pull out, Bobby? How many would you like to remove so that we can make your argument work for you, Bobby? How many? Isn't the point that they're all crazy? So why are we pulling the crazies out? I kicked you because you're a clown. That's why. That's why I kicked you, because nobody wants to hear you because you don't have a take, because you're a grape apologist yourself, likely. So isn't the argument about crazies? So Megyn Kelly? No, I'm not mad. It's just it's more disgust. You don't make me mad. You're not worth any emotion other than just you're boring. Now that I think about it. 70% of violence, politically oriented violence in our country, it's been studied for decades. Decades. And I know you don't want to believe it, but it is true. It is true. So again, one more time from Megyn Kelly.
Look it up.
Once you pulled
it from their website.
Once you pull the crazies out of there, it is overwhelmingly left-wing violence.
Once you pull the crazies out of there, it is overwhelmingly left-wing. Once you pull the crazies. How many crazies do we pull out? So what I heard, Bobby, because I'm a critical thinker, is Megyn Kelly acknowledging that, oh yeah, no doubt about it, it's more from the right. But once we pull the crazies out, everybody else on the right that commits political acts of violence, they're not crazy, but the left is. Yeah, that totally tracks. That totally tracks. Bobby, you're not coming back. You're not smart enough for this conversation. Sorry. Hi, Mikey. How are you? Mikey, are you there?
I'm sorry, buddy. I hit the button by mistake.
No problem. Thanks for being here, pal. See you later. Jesus. No, Bobby, you're not coming back. No, Bobby. Bobby's afraid of data, friends. Bobby's afraid of his shadow. Hello, doctor. How are you today?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to tack on to the point you were making as far as the political violence portion from the National Institute of Justice. Bobby kept saying, they cite the ADL, they cite the ADL. That study that they pulled that I downloaded the PDF of, before it was redacted, cites about 50 sources. I mean, it's not like
I know.
They said, like, the ADL pulled us this. It has a lot of sources.
And they all say the same thing.
They say beyond that, I would, if you haven't seen it and you want to chuckle, I would recommend you take a look at Jackson, the deputy press secretary, underneath Abigail Jackson. That was her name. I couldn't think of it for a second. Axios article that essentially says something along the lines of, left-wing violence has reached a critical point. And they use a graph that she kind of conveniently cuts off that shows yellow bars and then gray bars. And the gray bars are huge, and the yellow bars are on top of them. Not side by side, which is kind of misleading, but whatever. And all of the gray bars are right-wing violence. And then stacked on top of them, the little yellow bars are left-wing violence. And to their point, Axios showed that, it is worse in 2025 when somehow the gray bar disappears. Which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to talk about it without the visual, Michael. But yeah, no, I understand. I appreciate your point. Your point is it's not just the ADL, which I was trying to explain to Bobby, that it's numerous agencies. Hang on a second. That numerous agencies, not just the ADL, not just the Southern Poverty Law Council, not just law enforcement, not just the CDC, but they've all said the same thing. It's been a study that's gone on for 35 years. So
right.
Yeah,
and I guess what I was trying to say is MAGA, when trying to make a point, use data that shows they're wrong, trying to prove that they're right, which I think is interesting because that very own article or whatever highlights right-wing violence while saying, look how bad the left is. And it's like, I mean, it's not zero, I'll give you that. But
of course
you're referencing it in regards to a huge amount of right-wing.
Correct, exactly.
Which is comical. I mean, it's like... I don't even know have a word for it. I don't know.
No, you got it. I appreciate you jumping in today. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you.
Have a good day.
You too. Look, we know the truth. They don't want even Megyn Kelly. Once you pull the crazies out, once you pull out the crazies, then it's the left. Like, once I remove all the lint from my pocket, then there's no more lint in my pocket. Shocker. What a stupid fucking argument to make. Let's focus on the outlier. What? Okay, that's a wild flex. Bobby still wants attention. You're not coming back, Bobby. Bobby, you smell. Fragrant. How are you today?
Doing good, bud.
Fragrant?
Since when does the left not like pigs, not like kings and queens?
What?
Since when did the left stop liking kings and queens?
So when did the left stop liking?
All about kings and queens. Yeah, y'all are all about it. Because every time the king, prince or princess or anybody gets married, y'all all up in it. Y'all love it. You remember Princess Di? Do you remember Princess Diana?
I do. You think only people on the left mourned her loss?
Y'all remember? I ain't talking about mourning her loss. I'm talking about being all up her ass and everything she does. That's what I'm talking about. I ain't talking about her death.
Wait a minute. So let me ask you a question.
Y'all worship that. Y'all worship
let me ask you a question. Okay.
Y'all love them.
Let me ask you a question. So you pulled over or did whatever you chose to do. You decided to stop, request, and then come up here and spew that bullshit? Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Let's start.
Y'all love that shit. Y'all love kings and queens. Y'all love them.
Okay, cool. So let's start again. What did you have for breakfast today?
Captain Crunch.
Nobody fucking cares. What? Are we is there like a fucking blood moon or something? What the fuck is going on? because people were like, wow, it sucks that Princess Diana got murdered by her husband's family. Like, what? Hey, Bobby, people like that vote with you. Bobby's still in the request box, guys. I wonder how long he'll stay. Because I'm not bringing him up again. Why would I bother? What's happening? How come? I thought there was supposed to be rapture. Like, why wasn't? I was hoping there would be a rapture. I'd get more parking. But anyway, Bobby, you're not coming back up, Bobby, because you've been dunked on. I know Bobby's got a crush. Bobby, I'm taking applications for the throuple. So if you're interested, but you got to have soft hands, which I'm sure you probably do. You have to have you have to be flexible, Bobby. And I like to cuddle. So those are the rules. So if you want to play, then applications are accepting. Please join our Discord and then be prepared to answer some questions. And I would like real profile pictures as opposed to whatever the fuck it was that you put up there. But anyway, so again, Megyn Kelly claiming that once you pull the crazies out, so that would be an acknowledgement. That'd be an acknowledgement of the fact that there are a lot more people on the right that are committing these crimes. And I know you're up in your shit about the ADL. I know you're up in your shit about that. But as I was explaining to you before you became whatever it is that you became, numerous institutes, numerous groups, numerous agencies have all reported on the same thing. That's the problem. See the light, Bobby. See the light. See the light. Nurse Fine, how are you today?
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to kind of add to what you're saying. And, you know, the FBI directors have a meeting before Congress every year with their reports about the type of violence that we're having in the United States. And ever since President Obama, there has been an increase in white nationalists and people on the right committing violent crimes. Like, this is information that is on the record. So I don't understand people calling in and not getting that. And the only thing I can think of, I don't know if you remember Dr. Bondi Lee, who wrote the book about the cure or dangerous case of Donald Trump. She said that in her opinion, in her medical opinion, she felt like people on the right, most of them were under some type of hypnosis due to social media, due to Fox News, due to just having listened to conservative radio all the time. I'm thinking that's what's wrong with these people, because they can't be that stupid.
Oh, no, they can be. But it's really about the indoctrination of their cult. No, they certainly can be that dumb. No doubt about it. But when you're defending predators and you're claiming that the violence comes from one place and not the other, to people on the right don't want to have that conversation because they know it's true.
Wow. Well, thank you for allowing me to speak. I just want to share that.
My pleasure. Thanks, Nurse Fine. Appreciate you being here. Have a good day. Be safe. Want to thank you to, hold on a second. Thanks to Rhonda. Thank you, Rhonda. I appreciate you very, very much. Let's do this. 1,700 people in here, guys. We can bang this out. People jump on the bandwagon, on the dollar train, and that would be 185. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you very much. Hold on a second. Wow. I'm glad. Thanks for sharing that, Sam, I think. Okay. I'm going to pick out every person who requests, and I'm going to leave Bobby in his high chair in the corner.
Oh my God.
Nat Nurse, how are you today? Nat Nurse?
I'm sorry.
Hi. Did you request by accident?
Yeah, no, I didn't. I don't know why I can't hear you.
I can hear you.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Hi.
Okay.
I can. Hello? You can request again if you want to come back up, friend. It's not a problem. Hello? Yeah, I could hear. Okay. All right. Just in the last little bit here, a couple of statements posted by our president, a self-proclaimed New York City communist, Zohran Mamdani, who's running for mayor. By the way, Eric Adams dropped out. They are so afraid of Mamdani. The Democratic Party is in general. They're so afraid of him. Now they're trying to rally around Andrew Cuomo. Good luck with that. Self-proclaimed New York City communist Zohran Mamdani, who's running for mayor, will prove to be one of the best things to ever happen to our great Republican Party. He's going to have problems with Washington like no mayor in the history of our once great city. Remember, he needs the money from me as president in order to fulfill all of his fake communist promises. He won't be getting any of it. So the president basically admitting that he's going to violate the law because he doesn't hand out money. He won't be getting any of it. So what's the point of voting for him? This ideology has failed always for thousands of years. It will fail again, and that's guaranteed. So think that's a threat. Yeah, think about it. So again, communist he is not. Congress appropriates funding, not the president. So he's just telling us exactly what he's going to do. Followed up by this. Our movie-making business has been stolen from the United States by other countries, just like stealing candy from a baby. California, with its weak and incompetent governor, has been particularly hard hit. Therefore, in order to solve this long-time, never-ending problem, I'll be imposing a 100% tariff on any and all movies that are made outside of the United States. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again, President DJT. Oh, but wait, there's more. In order to make North Carolina, which has completely lost its furniture business to China and other countries, great again, I will be imposing substantial tariffs on any country that does not make its furniture in the United States. Details to follow, President DJT. People like Bobby are like, yeah, fucking right. I'm going to pay 9,000% more for furniture made here. Sweet. People are starving. Government's going to shut down. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate you. Government's going to shut down because Republicans don't want to fund health care. Republicans instead will lie to you, telling you that the money that the Democrats want to peel back so that they would be willing to negotiate to avoid a government shutdown is only going to illegals. It's just not true. It can't be true because federal dollars do not go to support undocumented immigrants when it comes to an insurance perspective. There are states that do from a Medicare perspective, right? That offer emergency services. That's it. So again, they're lying to you. Once again, big, bold, beautiful lie. Yep. Equal vote. How are you today?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. What's on your mind?
So we've got some No Kings rallies coming up mid-October in our area. Excellent. And I'm actually not, the heat's a little high for me right now. Like, I'm not quite sure how safe, I'm not sure how safe it's going to be, quite frankly.
I respect that. I mean, people have to make their own decisions and their own choices, but isn't that part of what they want? They want people to be afraid.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yep. The crowds are going to be clearly larger than they were the first time.
We'll see.
You know, potentially into the tens of thousands versus the thousands. The bigger cities in my area are going to have much larger. I just think it's, you know, maybe what we have to do is constituents here, but you know, I have a family to worry about. You know what I mean?
I get it. I understand. I mean, everybody has to do their own thing, but again, apathy is where democracies go to die. So we might have to put ourselves in harm's way. I mean, personally, I think it's white men who have all the privilege in our country are the ones that need to be standing on the front lines, in my opinion.
I hear what you're saying. I'll give it some salt, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good day. Be safe out there.
You too. Thanks.
Yeah, we know that, by the way, you can find the link to Indivisible, which is in the link tree that's in my bio. You can get information there about upcoming No Kings rallies. Can you please stop eating into the mic? Okay. Thanks. People are gonna have to make their own choices. I can't really, you know, I'm not gonna guide you either way. My suggestion is that if we allow them to fearmonger us away from exercising our constitutionally protected right, which is to peacefully protest, then we've lost already. So we always discuss this in the past, and this is a tough love moment from your boy here. We got to stop being apathetic as a nation. Got to stop being lazy. Got to start accepting the fact that we are to blame. We got, as a nation, we got what we deserved. We deserved Donald Trump because we did not participate in democracy enough. We didn't show up for midterms. We didn't raise our voices. We just accepted status quo. So again, I understand people are going to have to make their own decisions, and I fully respect that. I guess I just would ask, especially if you're a white dude, people who look like me. Again, a system built by people who look like me to benefit people who look like me, to protect people who look like me. You guys are the ones. We are the ones have to be standing on the front lines. That's it. That's it. So that's the question. Otherwise, there's more bodies, and we don't want that. So, no kings, sure, but apparently, because we were sad that Princess Diana died, that it's just the lefts that support kings and monarchs. I guess. I don't know. Maybe though. Maybe. Who knows? What timeline we're on? Whatever. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's
I
on your
have a
mind?
question. I am ex-military Air Force, and I really need an answer, requesting an answer. I know several colonels, active and retired, with masters and PhDs in national security or military strategy, who went to Air War College, and led men and women into battle, yet they still voted for Trump. How do you vote for Trump if you're well educated? You're literally in the circles in DC. I know they knew something about Project 2025, but why did they vote for Trump anyway? Thank you.
Sure. Thanks for jumping in today. I appreciate you. It's one of those big questions that we always talk about, right? About certain groups of people and why. Well, you know, it to me, it boils down to a couple of real harsh truths. Is that people could ignore everything that Donald Trump is, was, will be because of their racial tendencies, their racist tendencies. You know, people who don't think that what Charlie Kirk said is racist are probably racist. There are still people claiming that statements that he's made are not transphobic, that are not misogynistic, that are not rooted in Christian nationalism. So for people who claim, especially people who took the oath, I have a really difficult time with people who took the oath to defend the Constitution, not the person. People who are on active duty understand that. They have to be apolitical, right? They have to be apolitical, and they're not. And there's people in our country that are veterans that have served their country. I can't say honorably if they still support Donald Trump. Veterans who were there on January 6th, veterans who were there that day, participating in a coup to overthrow the government. So that's breaking your oath. And now we're going to talk in just a moment about the generals and the admirals, 800 or so flag officers, I think they're called, that have been gathered or summoned to Quantico, and the president's apparently going to join them. Shocker that there's a historical connection to that. Weimar, anybody? We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But it's like it's the same groups of people we discuss often. Like how could women vote for Trump? How could any member of any marginalized community vote for Trump? And I know no one single voting block is a monolith. I get that. I understand that there's nuance in those kinds of things. But really? Veterans? A guy who's mocked active duty and veterans as long as I can remember, from suckers and losers to I don't want to see disabled vets again. I don't like the way it looks. Cutting their pay. I mean, it's mocking John McCain. Like, it's just one thing after another. It's one thing after another. I don't think it's going to get any better. I certainly don't think it's going to. I certainly don't see it improving. So they've doubled down, and they're now part of the cult. Hey, Danny.
Good morning, friend. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm living the dream, don't you know?
Somebody else's dream, sure, but yeah, I got you.
Exactly. No, I heard her question, and as a veteran, I thought I would just pop in. And she said she's prior military, and for me, anybody that is primary. Good morning, everybody. Anybody that's prior military, this isn't a question. The answer is very simple. The military has been and continues to be the most racist and sexist institution that we could be a part of. So that it should not be a surprise to anyone how there are veterans or military individuals that would vote for Donald Trump. It just is what it is. There's a lot of statistics and data and facts, quite frankly, which we love. Some people don't, to back that up and make it evident to people. It just is the organization that it is. So nobody should be surprised.
Something you probably know when I talk about the knitting cult lady. I'm sure you know who that is, right, Danny? Daniela Young. She's great. She grew up in the Children of God sex cult, and then she went on and she escaped that, and then she went on to join the Army, and she became a captain, an intelligence officer in the Army. So she always talks about how she's got lots of experience in high control environments, which I think is pretty obvious, right? And she talked about how she joined us one time as we were discussing the National Guard being deployed and U.S. military on the streets of American cities, and she made a statement saying Trump thinks he has the military, but he doesn't.
He doesn't.
And but does not. And as she unpacked that more, it made a lot of sense because there are people there that did not sign up for this. People Correct. That, so in your experience, would you agree with that statement that he does not have the military?
He doesn't. That's one of the things that tomorrow is about. Right. Yeah. So listen, they understand, they know that he doesn't have them. And, right. And that's what tomorrow is about. So this is a test of loyalty tomorrow. General Milley prevented him getting in the military, the first administration. We don't have General Milley this time. And so it's going to be interesting to see who clears their calendar, who comes to the meeting, and who kisses the ring and who doesn't. And I think you're going to see who doesn't fairly quickly after this happens. You know what I mean? But that's what tomorrow is about.
Yeah, I agree. And then I'm about to get into the historical comparisons to mid 1930s Germany, because there are some really serious historical comparisons. But yeah, I'm with you. Are you going live today, friend?
I am going live today, friend. I'm going live at about 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'll tell you, a friend of mine who worked in the Pentagon when aircraft made their way there, we had this conversation last week when the announcement was made. I said, hey, friend, what do you think this is about? And we had this same discussion. So I agree. But yeah, I'll be live in about an hour or so.
We'll be sure to send some folks your way. I appreciate you, Danny. Thanks for being here. Guys, if you don't follow Danny, please follow her, because I love Danny and I get smarter every time I watch her. Thank you for being here, friend. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
See you later.
See you later.
All right, bye. Yeah, so let's get into that because this meeting, first of all, that's really not something that happens. I think I'm good, Brooke. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. But thanks. Okay, just real quickly, just to kind of level set. Don't forget, there's a gifting goal today. Please keep tapping. Let's see if we can hit 500K today, guys. We are crowdfunded. Want to support the channel? You can do so at the various appetizers apps. They're all at Factsstillmatter. And if you haven't yet joined our team, please consider doing so. There's some new merch in the merch store. You can find that at Facts HQ. Link also is in the link tree that's in my bio. And there's a lot of information. The link tree has become like a link jungle because there's a lot of stuff over there. But relevant, important information. Try to keep you informed on No Kings protests or getting involved in groups like Indivisible, etc. So there's a lot of information over there. So thank you all in advance. Okay, so let's talk about the situation with the military brass. Flag officers, I believe what it's called. And then I want to get into Mike Johnson playing political football with a duly elected representative in Arizona, refusing to swear her in potentially as it sets up the more for the government shutdown fight. We'll get there in just a second. But first, let's play this. Let's play the sound from this story, this reporting. This is from ABC from last week. It's been updated a little bit, but I think this kind of just level sets everything for you.
Secretary Pete Hegseth summoning hundreds of American generals, admirals, and senior officers from around the world for an urgent meeting in Quantico, Virginia. What's behind this? Here's Martha Raddatz.
Yeah, what is it?
Tonight, in an unprecedented move, Secretary Pete Hegseth asking all U.S. general officers and admirals in command positions and senior enlisted leaders around the world to gather at the U.S. Marine Base in Quantico, Virginia. That means hundreds of senior officers. The Pentagon saying in a statement, the Secretary of War will be addressing his senior military leaders early next week. But the Pentagon has not given a reason for the massive meeting, even those told to attend telling ABC News they are unaware of what prompted the meeting and what will be discussed. President Trump was asked about a meeting today, but may have thought the question was about foreign generals visiting.
Well, I know. I love it. I mean, I think it's great. Let him be friendly. Let him be friendly with the generals and admirals from all over the world.
The vice president then stepping in.
It's not particularly unusual that generals who report to the Secretary of War and then to the President of the United States are coming to speak with the Secretary of War. It's actually not unusual at all, and I think it's odd that you guys have made it into such a big story.
Back in May, Secretary Hegseth ordered a 20% reduction in the number of four-star generals and admirals across the active duty force.
We're going to shift resources from bloated headquarters elements to our warfighters.
Hegseth has already fired at least 15 senior military officers, including General C.Q. Brown, the then chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and the first woman to command the Navy, Admiral Lisa Franchetti. And David, this is understandably creating apprehension among members of the military, given the lack of information. But judging by President Trump and Vice President Vance's response today, it does not seem like an urgent national security matter. David.
So it is unprecedented. We know that. So let's talk about that a little bit. Let me see if I have it. Okay. So this is just to kind of summarize. Defense Secretary, styled as Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth has ordered an unusually large gathering of generals and admirals, senior military officers of one-star rank and above to convene at Marine Corps Base Quantico in Virginia tomorrow. Roughly 800 generals and admirals are believed to have been summoned. Hegseth is expected to push his vision of a revived warrior ethos with emphasis on discipline, standards, including grooming, and military conduct. He may also signal broader strategic shifts, including direction in the national defense strategy, particularly a tilt toward homeland security or Western Hemisphere operations. Homeland security, keep that in mind as troops are rolling around American cities. Portland, Oregon, by the way, such a war zone. Give me a fucking break. Some analysts suggest this could be a rally the troops event to align top commanders with Hegseth's agenda, or to send a warning about future consequences for non-compliance. There's also speculation, though not confirmed, that some leadership changes, firings, or reassignments might occur as a result of this meeting. There's no official agenda. According to the Pentagon, they've not publicly disclosed the full agenda or precise topics to be addressed. Gathering so many senior officials in one place is rare and raises logistical security and continuity of command questions. President Trump will also attend and deliver remarks which raises concerns about the mixing of political messaging with military leadership gatherings. With many commanders traveling or absent, some overseas commands may need to be temporarily led by acting officers. It's wild, right? Well, the reason we talk about history often is because it's necessary, because we have examples throughout history of things that can happen when dictators attempt to gain power. In 1933, after Schmittler reinduced conscription in violation of the Treaty of Versailles, he summoned senior Weimar-era generals from the Volkswehr tradition to a meeting at the Reich Chancellery. This gathering is sometimes referred to in historical accounts as the Generals' Meeting of 1935. Its purpose was to formally inform the officer corps of new policy direction. That's what Pete Hegseth has told his generals. New policy direction. Germany would openly rearm, the Wehrmacht would be created, and the military would be expanded beyond the restrictions of Versailles. March 16th, 1935, Schmittler had just announced the reinstatement of compulsory military service and the formation of a 36th Division Wehrmacht. Senior officers of the former Volkswehr, the Weimar Republic's limited 100,000-man army, many of them had come up under old Weimar systems and were wary of the Nazis. Schmittler told them Germany would rearm at full speed, ignoring Versailles. He cast this as restoring Germany's dignity and security. Most generals were cautious but compliant. They were relieved to see the army's prestige and size restored, though some were uneasy about Schmittler's political dominance. Their oath of loyalty, introduced later in 1934 after Hindenburg's death, and their desire for rearmament meant that few openly resisted. This moment marked the military leadership's deeper alignment with the Yahtzee regime by accepting Schmittler's plans by accepting his demands and not pushing back. The officer corps tied its fate to his expansionist ambitions. January 30th, 1933, Schmittler becomes chancellor. The Volkswehr, a 100,000-man professional army under the Versailles Treaty, remains aloof, loyal to President Hindenburg rather than to the Yahtzees. Generals see Schmittler as a radical but potentially useful for restoring military strength. 1933, the Enabling Act passed. Schmittler gains dictatorial powers, but the Reichswehr leadership still believes it can control him. June 30th to July 2nd, 1934, the Night of the Long Knives. Schmittler purges SA leadership, which was basically the standard military police prior to the SS. Ernstrom and others who had threatened to turn a SA into a people's army. This reassures the generals who had feared Romm's mass militia would replace their professional officer corps. The Reichswehr expresses gratitude to Schmittler and then shifts closer to him. August 2nd, 1934, the death of Hindenburg. Schmittler emerges presidency and chancellorship, becoming Führer and Reichskanzler. Generals are required to take a personal oath of loyalty to Schmittler, not to the Constitution or to the nation. This is a pivotal moment. The military leadership binds itself morally and politically to Schmittler. 1935, the Weimar generals are summoned. March 6, 1935, Schmittler announces conscription and Wehrmacht. Schmittler declares Germany will openly defy Versailles, the Treaty of Versailles, which was the terms for the settlement of the end of hostilities in World War I. Introducing conscription and building a 36th Division Wehrmacht. Generals were summoned to the Reich Chancellery. They're informed of this new direction. Many are relieved. The Army's prestige, size, and funding are not being restored. Some are uneasy about Schmittler's unilateral style, but accept the decision. This marks the point where most Weimar-era generals effectively fall in line with Yahtzee rearmament. March 7, 1936, remilitarization of the Rhineland. Schmittler orders troops into the demilitarized Rhineland in defiance of Versailles and Locarno. Similar to the President and the Secretary of War ordering U.S. military active duty into American cities. Violation of Posse Comitatus. Many generals see this as risky. fearing French retaliation, but Schmittler's gamble pays off and France does not act. The success boosts Hitler's prestige and further convinces the officer corps of his genius. So, historical comparisons are necessary when you are attempting to sort of remind people of what it is that we are witnessing, and it's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. Mon, how are you today? Mon, are you there? Mon, hello? Okay, I guess not. Good morning, Kathy. How are you today? Kathy? I guess it's one of those days. I'm the progressive in your pocket. So that's happening tomorrow. And then you've heard from the reporting is that the gathering is to do what? The warrior ethos? So it's going to be very interesting for flag officers once we find out what happened, right? It's going to be very interesting because, again, Universal Military Code of Military Justice, UCMJ, you're obligated to disobey an illegal order. You're obligated. So, I don't know what's going to happen, but I can't imagine being in that position right now. I hate the word ethos as well, the warrior ethos. So just some more, I just need to play some more sound from Pete Hegseth, just because we connect the dots to the fact that Pete Hegseth is a Christian nationalist, and the entire country is being led now by a whole bunch of Christian nationalists in our government, led by Stephen Miller and others, about how they want to erase history. And they'll do it in a variety of ways in which most people won't understand the historical significance of, and or they'll cover it with something that is memorable. Case in point, this was a statement he made over the weekend regarding the Battle of Wounded Knee. So I'll fill you in on, if you don't know about it, I'll fill you in on it in just a moment. This is Pete Hegseth.
Under the previous administration, a review panel was convened to determine whether soldiers awarded the Medal of Honor for their actions at the Battle of Wounded Knee should keep their medals. Now, upon deliberation, that panel concluded that these brave soldiers should, in fact, rightfully keep their medals from actions in 1890. The report was concluded in October of 2024. Yet, despite this clear recommendation, former Secretary Lloyd Austin, for whatever reason, I think we know he was more interested in being politically correct than historically correct, chose not to make a final decision. Wow. Such careless inaction has allowed for their distinguished recognition to remain in limbo until now.
Distinguished recognition.
Under my direction, we're making it clear without hesitation that the soldiers who fought in the Battle of Wounded Knee in 1890 will keep their medals. And we're making it clear that they deserve those medals.
Wow.
This decision is now final, and their place in our nation's history is no longer up for debate.
Wow.
We salute their memory, we honor their service, and we will never forget what they did.
We will never forget what they did. That is true. That is very true. December 29th, 1890, near Wounded Knee Creek on the Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota, the U.S. 7th Cavalry surrounded a Lakota band led by Chief Spotted Elk, also known as Bigfoot. The soldiers attempted to disarm the group. A shot was fired, accounts differ on by whom, and chaos followed. U.S. troops opened fire with rifles and Hotchkiss rapid-fire guns. Around 250 to 300 Lakota men, women, and children were killed. About 25 U.S. soldiers also died, some likely from friendly fire. The massacre, as it's often considered, is the final chapter of the Indian Wars. It symbolized the violent suppression of Native American resistance and culture. In 1990, the U.S. Congress passed a resolution expressing deep regret for the massacre, though no formal apology has been issued. You heard Pete Hegseth say we're going to honor their service. They circled an encampment of the Lakota tribe. and they gunned down 250 to 300 men, women, and children. The overwhelming majority of them were unarmed. Those people should be celebrated? You heard the Secretary of War. Their honor, their service should be recommended? Again, U.S. troops opened fire with rifles and Hotchkiss rapid-fire guns, because like a Gatling gun style. Around 300 Lakota men, women, and children were murdered. 25 U.S. soldiers also died, most from friendly fire. And we're recognizing them for what? Heroism? For what? Again, in an attempt to erase history. Nothing to see here, though, right? Nothing to see here. Whew, wild. Good morning, Randy. How are you today? Randy? Randy, are you taking a shit? Dude, you might want to just maybe get some fiber in your diet. That didn't sound too good, bro. I would suggest a little bit of fiber. Angel Eyes, how are you today?
Hi, great. I'm just getting off night shift, 2 12s in a row, so I'm okay. I mean, I'm in my zhuzh.
I got you. Mm-hmm. What's on your mind?
You?
I'm all right.
Well,
thank you.
Thank you. I was just wondering why nobody wanted to vote for this very qualified lady. She wanted to do a lot of things. There was a lot of things that she had in policy, and whereas this administration had concepts of policy. But the thing about it is, I have a son in prison. Okay? I want to be full frontal with you. I have a son in prison, and she would have got him out. I mean, I would have got him out, but had he not recidivism. What's the word?
Yeah, recidivism.
She had policies about that for these convicted people.
Well, that's not entirely up to the president. That's not entirely up to the president, Angel. We can talk about criminal justice reform, but that requires Congress. So we have to be careful about what she can and can't do. But she was effective
She had a policy that she was putting forth that she would have done that. You know what I'm saying? Am I confused?
You're a little bit confused. You can talk about criminal justice reform, but it's not something the president can do. It requires Congress. Now, she was effective as the attorney general in California by looking at how there was racial profiling and convictions and addressing that at a larger scale. But the president doesn't have the power just to change that. It requires Congress.
I understand it requires Congress. That's fine. All laws have to be put through Congress. But my understanding, what I came up here to ask you, and I'm tired. I've been working 2 12 hours. I'm tired. I've been a nurse for 31 years. I'm exhausted. I have had a couple Jose's. But what I want to ask you, and I just got off at 7 o'clock, okay? 7:30. Is Kamala Harris had policies to assist these people so they, even though they committed a crime, they come out and have counseling or whatever what they needed. You know what I'm saying? It was a help to a community.
Yeah,
whether it was white, black, red, or brown.
I don't disagree with that. It was just a different approach to criminal justice reform, which is something is long overdue. It's about community policing. It's about investing in mental health services so that officers and mental health professionals can help address the issues of crime proactively, not reactively.
and mental health especially, because
agreed.
I want to say one more thing, because I've been a nurse for 31 years. I'm going to tell you this. My dad was a activity therapist for mental health. He did activities with the mental ill. So I really invested in people. Look at the craziness that's going on right here, right now. They shut down, and I'm not going to dox myself. They shut down so many mental health facilities. They were up and booming. They were helping people. I'm going to say in the 1970s. There was mental health in 1980s. Mental health, because my father was booming in his career. That's what I'm going to say. I was at, I used to visit one of his, he brought his kids to his job. And I saw these people, I saw these people. I grew up around them, and my dad was the most structured man I have ever met in my life. Like he's the reason why I went to college.
Yeah, I think, Angel, so I do need to move on, but I think the point you bring up is really, really good, that Kamala Harris had programs that were based, that were humane, that wanted to address substance use disorder, that wanted to provide more resources for communities to go out and get ahead of crime. So that we're addressing poverty by considering changes to the federal minimum wage, all those kinds of things. And I agree with you. I wish people had voted for her. I just want to say thank you for jumping in today, and thank you for the work.
Can I say one more thing? And I'm going to leave it alone.
Sure, real quick though, please.
Real quick. When I became a nurse, the first place I went was Glen Bay. Do you remember Glen Bay?
I don't.
It was an alcohol and drug abuse for adult and child. That used to be a thing in Ohio. I'm in Ohio. I'm gonna dox myself. But
Angel, I'm sorry, but I've got to move. I've got to move on. But thank you for jumping in today, Angel. I appreciate you being here.
Okay.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the work that you do. Take care. Bye bye. Okay. Let's see. I've got a lot of other folks that have requested here. Then I'm going to move into a topic I want to kind of shift. I want to shift to a little bit, but we'll get there. Everybody, keep tapping, please. See if we can get to 400K. Mikey J. Mikey J, are you there?
Hey.
Mikey? Hey,
yeah,
Mike, how you doing?
I'm
okay, what's on your mind?
What I don't understand is what's happening, to this country. We know that I hate to say it, but anyway, I'll just do it. That the president said that prices, food, gas, housing, when he gets in, everything will change. And you see that the cost of living is so high right now. Where I am, gas price hasn't gone down. You have people who are losing their houses. You have the folks who have lost health care. And I can't understand, you have so many people who are still supporting this administration, and you have people who are praising him for doing a wonderful job. And I'm trying to figure out who the heck are these people? Where do they live? I'm beginning to think that they might live at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Mikey. I think we discussed this often in the space about how people will just choose to believe things to suit their narrative. They've grown accustomed to lying, being lied to. And what we're here to talk about every single day is to try to navigate through that, give people some guidance on how to navigate the media landscape, what to look out for, why freedom of the press and freedom of speech is so important. But I appreciate you jumping in today, Mikey. Thanks for sharing. I appreciate you. Man. Be safe out there. Take care.
You too.
Speaking of, just real quick, I just on that topic, it reminded me of some sound that I pulled. This is an interview that that he did with Leslie Stahl, that Trump did with Leslie Stahl a couple of years ago. And this tells you a lot.
What you told me a long time ago when I asked why you keep saying fake media.
Yeah.
You said to me, I say that because I need to discredit you so that when you say negative things about me, no one will believe. You know what you...
So, yeah, there you go. You, when I asked you, this is the quote. I say that because I need to discredit. When I said fake media, Trump admitted, I say that because I need to discredit you. That's because I need to discredit you. So when you say negative things about me, no one will believe you. Basically telling himself and then admitting it. So that was an interview back in 2016. So there you go. I'll post it in the Discord so people can have it. It's crazy. But, he tells us, don't forget, he told Barbara Walters something very, very similar about the lies that he intentionally tells people so he can discredit every institution. He can discredit the courts. He can discredit the judges. He can discredit the jury. He can discredit the community. He can discredit elected officials. Now trying to, indict James Comey when there's no evidence. And even people like, Bobby showed up earlier, tried to make claims that the Department of the Anti-Defamation League, the ADL, is some corrupt institution when it's one of like 50 sources for the same data that speaks to right-wing violence. Yeah, don't forget. Hold on.
Smart people don't like me.
That's right. Smart people don't like you. Okay, I want to get into this story, and I saw this. Somebody had posted this in the. By the way, the state of Oregon is suing the Trump administration over deployment of National Guard. Cool. It's good to know. This was posted in our Discord, and I want to thank HJ Medina, I will say. So this is, I'm just going to read through this because it really speaks a lot to the situation that's happening in Oregon. Because to me, it's related, and then it comes back to the Epstein files, which we're going to get into that in just a moment because of what else the Republicans in Congress are attempting to do to try to protect predators. At the request of Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, I am directing Secretary of War Pete Hegseth to provide, this is from the True Social Post, I am directing Secretary of War Pete Hegseth to provide all necessary troops to protect war-ravaged Portland and any of our ICE facilities under siege from attacks by Antifa and other domestic terrorists. I'm also authorizing full force if necessary. Out of nowhere, he declared Portland war-ravaged and ordered in troops. Before I go any further with that, I think I want to do this real quick. Somebody just made a comment saying that Charlie Kirk's not racist. I'm going to play this real quick. Actually, is anybody available, mods, to come up real quick? I'd appreciate that. That's a possibility before I get into this. If anybody is free to jump in real quickly, I would appreciate that. I'm going to go back to that story in just a moment. Brooke's here. Yes. Yes, thank you. Thank you, friend. I'll be right back.
Hey, how are you? Hey, everybody. I'm just here to do a little mod announcement. I want to tell you what I did this weekend. I had a great time at a pagan pride festival. I volunteered with our local chapter of the Free Mom Hugs, and I went there and I gave hugs to anybody who wanted them, which was just awesome, and it was so rewarding. And I had one person cry. Several people told me about things that were going on in their lives. It was just very uplifting. I needed that. They needed that. And I will be doing that more often. So it was my first time. So that was so awesome. Anyway, we're happy you decided to join Facts for the live this morning. We're here every Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. till noon Eastern Standard Time. Please keep liking and sharing the live. Consider subscribing to factsstillmatter.site. Also, if you visit factsstillmatter.site, check out the awesome merch options that are there. There's t-shirts, coffee mugs, tote bags, other goodies. We're always looking for new merch submissions. We do have a place in our Discord that if you have a merch idea, you can post it there. Also, everybody, there's like 1,400 people in here. If you consider sending $1 to Cash App, Venmo, or PayPal, all of them are at Facts Still Matter.
we would appreciate that. Facts is crowdfunded, so every little bit helps. And if you're interested in joining the Discord, there's a link in Facts's link tree. We have been told that
jungle.
the link tree for the No Kings, the link is not working.
Oh, okay.
In the
I'll
No
check that.
Kings. It's giving an error saying that it's going to an unsafe site. I think it's a link tree issue because I was able to get to that site directly on my computer. So the site does work. It's not an unsafe site, but for some reason, Linktree is blocking it.
Okay, I'll make sure.
But
I'll check
if
it out when
anybody's
I'm done.
interested in joining the Discord, copy the link into a browser. That usually works. If not, message one of the mods and we can send you the link and get you set up. But
Thank you.
anyway.
I appreciate you for jumping in so quickly. Enjoy the little gift, BT Dubs. I appreciate you very much.
Thank you. Have a
Ready?
good day. Yep.
All right.
Whee!
Okay. I was, as I'm wont to do, sometimes I jumped into lives over the weekend and I couldn't sleep, middle of the night. Someone was talking about bullshit. People, this is the same argument about claims that Charlie Kirk's not a racist. I've been hesitant to talk about some of the rumors and innuendos that are swirling right now about there's all kinds of conspiracy theory rabbit holes, and I lean in hard on my media training with these kinds of things to say, like, what is real and what isn't. Now, I have gone on record saying that I don't think the text message exchanges between Mr. Robinson and his partner, alleged partner, are legit. There's even people in right-wing circles are saying the same thing now. There's all kinds of theories about exploding lapel pins and angles of attack of entry wounds, exit wounds, no autopsies, all kinds of craziness. There's just there's audio. There's an audio clip now that's not been verified. We'll go through that in just a moment. Long story short, people that are out here attempting to claim that Charlie Kirk isn't racist, it's probably because they're racist. So I was in an exchange with someone and I played this sound, and then we can talk about what their reaction was after I played it.
In fact, if we would have said 3 weeks ago, Blake, if we would have said that Joy Reid and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee and Ketanji Brown Jackson were affirmative action picks, we would have been called the racist. But now they're coming out and they're saying it for us. They're coming out and they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to go steal a white person's slot to go.
So I played that for them, and to me, it's just blatantly obvious of how racist it is. I also discussed the scenario of, if you walked onto a plane and you saw a white pilot, you wouldn't say, I hope that white pilot is qualified. So when I played that sound, their answer wasn't, oh, I didn't realize he said it that way, or I can understand why people would say that that's racist. Their answer was, I agree. They did take a white person's spot. Then I'm like, you don't think that's racist? And they're like, no, it's about merit. Okay. So you can't break through people who genuinely think that what he said isn't racist. It's the same people that don't think Donald Trump's a racist. It's the same people that don't think Charlie Kirk's a bigot, transphobe, homophobe, misogynist, Christian nationalist. Because the people that don't think those things are likely those things themselves. So you can't call it a racist if they're racist. Not like, I would just rather people say, yeah, I'm a full-on racist. Like we have in our government. It just would be a lot easier for the rest of us just to come out and admit it. Because there is no way you can listen to what he said there. There's no way. You're taking the words out of my mouth. Okay. There's no way you could hear that and not think that's racist unless you're a racist and a bigot and transphobic and Christian nationalist and a misogynist, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So form your own opinion, I suppose, but like we always say, if there's 9 Yahtzees at a table and you sit down with them, there's 10 Yahtzees at a table. I think the challenge that people are facing a real reality now that you're defending, first of all, a podcaster. You're canonizing, is that the word? Yeah, you're canonizing, creating a martyr out of a podcaster who has said horrible things about every marginalized community out there. Every one. There's another one that I heard recently. See if I can find it. I might have even pulled it up already. Hang on. There's another one. Since we're talking about it. Something that he said about women who take birth control. I'll find it. Give me a minute. Tapping is clapping, friends. Sharing is caring. Liking is loving. Do I have that sound? I think I do. Then I'm going to play another sort of conservative perspective on what they think. Anyway. If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. That's one thing he said. The single woman issue is one of the biggest issues facing a civilization. The single woman issue is one of the biggest issues facing a civilization. That's a wild one. What else did he say? If I'm dealing with somebody in customer service who's a moronic black woman, I wonder, is she there because of her excellence or is she there because of affirmative action? He said that on his podcast, January 3rd of 2024. That's good. That's a great quote, showing that he's not racist at all, right? On black women in positions of power, you do not have the brain power. We just went through that one. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to go steal a white person's slot to be taken somewhat seriously. Again, on his podcast, July 13th of 2023. Yeah, that's good. That's the person you support. It's time to ban third world immigration, legal or illegal. We've reached our limit, and we have a huge cultural, educational, housing, financial, and essential services problem to fix now because of it. We need a net zero immigration moratorium with a ban of all third worlders. June 6, 2025. Recent podcast. Nothing to see here, though. He's not racist at all. Not bigoted. Ketanji Brown Jackson is a diversity hire. She's only there because she's a black woman. Would you like to put her qualifications side by side with Amy Coney Barrett? Amy Boney Carrot? Want to put those two side by side? Okay. Didn't think so. If you actually watch his trial, it's obvious Kyle Rittenhouse did nothing wrong. That's the guy that you've canonized, that you want to become a martyr. Birth control is awful. It's terrible, and it creates very angry and bitter young ladies and young women. Then that bitterness then manifests into a political party that is the bitter party. I mean, the Democrat Party is all about bring us your bitterness, and we'll give you free stuff. Many people agree with that probably, though, right? Yeah, I'm sure. 0 people from Gaza should be allowed to come to America. Period. I don't care what happens to them. Okay. Yeah, that's the guy. There shouldn't be a transgender day of visibility. Cancel it. Not a transphobe, though, right? Abortion is not healthcare. Okay. Yeah, these are just some great things. On protesters, if somebody has had enough of your antics and has to run you over to get somewhere, they shouldn't face any penalties. That's a good one. That was April 15th of last year. Yeah, let's just do that. I can't stand the word empathy. Actually, I think empathy is a made-up New Age term that it does a lot of damage. That's fine. Nothing to see here. That's the man that you've eulogized, MAGA. That's the person that you consider a free speech warrior. Yeah, that was CK. Those are all quotes from Charlie Kirk. But I'm sure that those are taken out of context, right? As it relates to the conversation about trans people and indoctrination, this is my opinion and my opinion alone. When we're talking about the situation, the situation in Utah, obviously there's stuff that's spinning. There's all kinds of conspiracy theories, like I just discussed, the situation regarding Charlie Kirk and Tyler Robinson and that whole mess. I've said this before, my opinions and my opinions alone. I believe that he was radicalized. Mr. Robinson was radicalized by his community, by his church, by his family, because he grew up thinking that people who prescribe to be different are considered radicals and threats. If you're in the if you're in the queer community, you can't take sacrament in LDS. You can't. Where he grew up was one of the most conservative counties in America, in one of the most conservative states in America. His own mother talked about how his family was MAGA. And in her transcript that the right likes to jump onto now, she said, recently he became influenced by left-leaning ideologies and became pro-gay and pro-trans. So think about that, right? Think about that. The argument that the right is trying to make, that if you acknowledge the existence of queer people, then you become radicalized. If you acknowledge the differences that make us beautiful, from my perspective, you become radicalized. You become a threat. He was radicalized by his upbringing. Yeah, exactly. They think that no one gay is right wing. Exactly. Exactly. So that is the very telling statement that they want to double down on that. Left-leaning ideologies, he's been radicalized? No, I think he was, in my opinion alone, I think he was struggling with his sexuality, didn't feel safe to come out to his family, met a lot of people that were in the community that he was told to hate and despise, who are considered threat, who shouldn't even be on the earth, met them, said, these are nice people. I don't know why the fuck I was told forever that they're threats. They're nicer to me than my family. They're kinder to me than my community. They're a hell of a lot more supportive of me than my church was. So here we are. I've been told forever that those people are awful, and here's this one guy who personifies that. He's the leader of this. And he took action. That's my opinion alone. Here's where it gets interesting, because Jubilee does these series of conversations between people, and here's one little excerpt. And this, I think this is telling. Very, very telling.
That's a huge thing with the trans and the gay and the LGBTQ and all that whole thing. So I grew up LDS, being Utah County, it's like 95% Mormon.
Utah County, exactly where this kid grew up.
At 8 years old is when you get baptized. So if you're raised around where 95% of people think the exact same way, I feel like that's too young of an age where you're a child and you don't really know what you're doing.
So he's claiming that just play this again. I'm sorry, didn't mean to. I'll play the whole thing.
That's a huge thing with the trans and the gay and the LGBTQ and all that whole thing. So I grew up LDS, being Utah County, it's like 95% Mormon. At 8 years old is when you get baptized. So if you're raised around where 95% of people think the exact same way, I feel like that's too young of an age where you're a child and you don't really know what you're doing. Where I have a problem with.
But you do know what you're doing at 8 when you're being baptized? You do know what you're doing at 8, but you don't at 12?
The trans or these different things is they're getting kids at like 10, 12 years old, and they're pushing them down that path.
Who's they?
Who's they?
Mm-hmm. Who's indoctrinating these kids into becoming LGBTQ and et cetera?
There's a lot of groups out there.
Really?
I've just heard that there's groups out there.
I heard there's groups out there.
You don't think there's groups out there that do that?
No.
No, I don't either. So think about that statement, right? So these are the people that Tyler Robinson grew up with. These are those people. Utah County, 95% Mormon. This is who he grew up with. These are the people that indoctrinated him. These are the people who told him that it's a sin, a mortal sin. A mortal sin. You can't take sacrament in LDS if you are in the queer community. And just the contradiction in his own statements that when you're 8 years old, you're baptized. Do you have a choice? Do you have a choice? No. You're baptized. 8 years old. So listen to the beginning of this again.
That's a huge thing with the trans and the gay and the LGBTQ and all that whole thing. So I grew up LDS, being Utah County, it's like 95% Mormon. At 8 years old is when you get baptized. So if you're raised around where 95% of people think the exact same way. I feel like that's too young of an age where you're a child and you don't really know what you're doing. Where I have a problem with, the trans or these different things is they're getting kids at like 10, 12 years old and they're pushing them down that path.
So 8 years old, you have no choice. You're forced into your faith, baptized. His claim is that kids 2 to 3 years older are being forced into something, even though he can't identify what that something is. So tell me again how Tyler Robinson was radicalized? He could have been that guy. Now, we don't have any evidence other than, well, what we know. Like there's all kinds of rumors and innuendos about those text messages, and nobody thinks that they're legit. The right tried to spin the narrative claiming that, oh yeah, these are messages that support trans ideology. Nope. Gamer meme shit. Groyper communities were mentioned. I'm not even sure about that. From my perspective, this is what Tyler Robinson was radicalized into. He grew up devoutly Mormon, whether devoutly or not, but he grew up Mormon. 95% of the people around him identified the same. Homosexuality is a moral sin in the Mormon church. You're baptized at 8 years old. You are indoctrinated into the church. You don't have a choice. You can't take sacrament if you're queer, period. And he was indoctrinated by that and then realized, I don't know why I was told to hate these people. They are the most accepting of me that I've ever met in my life. My family doesn't accept me. My community doesn't accept me. My church certainly doesn't accept me. So where did the radicalization come from? Tells me that his religious indoctrination is what put him in this position that he woke up one day. It's like, whether or not he's, again, just my own opinions on this, whether or not he was realizing his sexuality. And it's just like, I don't know why I was told forever that these people are demonic. And his own mother even alluded to it it's based on her statement. Her statement was he became influenced by left-leaning ideologies and became pro-gay and pro-trans. Think about that for a second. That's what the right wants to use as fuel to say he's been indoctrinated, which then would imply that if you support the plight of the LGBTQI community or any marginalized community, that you become radicalized. That's a bold statement. That would basically mean that if you support a queer conservative or a trans conservative, that you're radicalized? He attended one of the most conservative colleges and universities in America, in one of the most conservative communities in America, in one of the most conservative states in America. He grew up in arguably the most conservative religion there is in America, LDS. And then there's too many stories about that have so many holes in them based on our Department of Justice just failure. Form your own conclusions. But right, yeah, I know I'm radicalized Antifa. Because that's what they're trying to tell you now. That if you support gay rights, if you support the LGBTQIA community, that you're radical. Think about that. That makes me radical because I believe in human rights. Is it radical that I want to feed kids? Apparently so. Is it radical that I'm sick and tired of seeing women bleed out on operating tables because their legislatures said that they don't have control of their body? Does that make me radical? I guess so. God, healthcare. Damn. Crazy. Listen, gay couples should be subjected to the same misery that straight couples are subjected to. I think you would all agree with what I'm saying. Radical. That's radical. So that's my argument. And it's interesting to watch. It's interesting to watch people who are still trying to claim that he was radicalized attempt to defend that. So where does the radicalization come from? That he became a supporter and or an advocate, an ally, an accomplice to the queer community? Maybe. If that's radical, then sign me the fuck up. So I thought that interview was very telling. Very, very telling. Speaking of, speaking of precedent, speaking of how we recognize differences between us, Justice Clarence Thomas, just last week, stated this: legal precedents are not gospel. The conservative justice wants to overturn cases, in his opinion, that were wrongly decided. Justice Thomas said the Supreme Court should take a more critical approach to settled precedent, saying decided cases are not the gospel, and suggesting some may have been based on something somebody dreamt up and others went along with. Thomas made the comments during a rare public appearance last Thursday evening at a Catholic University's Columbus School of Law in Washington, D.C., just over a week before the High Court starts a new term that includes challenges to several major long-standing decisions. The court is poised to revisit Humphreys v. Executor, Humphreys Executor v. U.S., a 90-year precedent that limits a president's ability to remove members of some independent federal agencies without cause. The justices will also consider whether to overturn Thornburg versus Gingles, a landmark 1986 decision governing the use of race in redistricting under the Voting Rights Act. For the first time, the court is also considering a petition for writ of certiorari, asking them to explicitly revisit and overturn the 2015 decision in Obergefell versus Hodges, which made same-sex marriage legal nationwide. At some point, quote, at some point, we need to think about what we're doing with stare decisis, Thomas said Thursday, referring to the legal principle of abiding by previous decisions. And it's not some sort of talismanic deal where you can just say stare decisis and not think, turn off the brain, right? The court's senior conservative suggested that some members of the court over the years have blindly followed prior judgments, comparing them to passengers on a train. Quote, we never go to the front to see who's driving the train. Where is it going? And you could go up there in the engine room and find it's an orangutan driving the train, but you want to follow that just because it's a train, Thomas said? I don't think that I have the gospel, that any of these cases that have been decided are the gospel. And I do give perspective to the precedent, but the precedent should be respectful of our legal tradition and our country and our laws, and be based on something, not just something somebody dreamt up and others went along with it. Thomas has long been outspoken advocate for revisiting some of this court's landmark decisions. In a 2022 concurring opinion in Dobbs v. Jackson, Women's Health, which overturned Roe, Thomas urged his colleagues to reconsider all of this court's substantive due process precedents, including Griswold, Lawrence, and Obergefell, cases involving rights to contraception, same-sex intimacy, and marriage. He's also had concerns about the legality of interracial marriage, of which he is one, or has one. It is terrifying. To try to have earnest conversations about this, the frustrating part for a lot of us is that why would someone want those protections taken away? Why do they think that it's not? Why do they think it's wrong overturning same-sex marriage equality? I think I'd prefer to call it marriage equality. Why would you want to do away with contraception? Why would you want to do away with interracial marriage? I mean, the answer is obvious to us. Christian nationalists know why, but the conservative voter, the not very smart MAGA voter, just cheers it on because they're told to. You're going to see birthright citizenship come up this term. All kinds of shit. Yeah, he wants to be a mullah. Good point. So explain then to us how we can justify any of this shit. Like any of it. Like any of it. It's not the kind of country that I want. Many do, apparently. Let's see. Good morning, Alec. How are you today?
Good. Yourself?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
Hey, so the upcoming government shutdown that is set to take part, tomorrow?
Midnight tomorrow night, yep.
Yeah, tomorrow night. What are because the stalemates between the Democrats who have the 7 additional votes in the Senate that are needed for the Republicans to pass their bill. What are the Democrats trying to get for those 7 votes?
I'll tell you. Hang on one second. I wrote it down. Hang on a second.
And while you're looking at that, do you believe they'll fold in fear of Trump doing something extremely stupid?
Well, he's going to do something extremely stupid anyway. This is what the Democrats have asked for. The Democrats want, it's simple. They want to extend the Affordable Care. I'm sorry, permanently extend the Affordable Care Act tax credit.
Okay.
Which is going, by the way, if that does not extend, everybody's health insurance is going to go up significantly. I'm on the ACA. I've already talked to my person who's my advisor. She said she expects it to go up between 75 and 80%. Yeah. Okay. That's one. The other would be roll back the recent Medicaid cuts and then restore fundings that was cut under the 2025 Rescissions Act. That also includes an allocation of $325 million for lawmaker security, which tracks along with what the Republicans want, and they want to peel back some money that was cut from SNAP. So, overwhelming majority of what they want is just health insurance protections for the for Americans.
Yeah, and that's not shouldn't be unnecessary, or unreasonable.
That's
I apologize. And
that's it.
Yeah, it's just crazy how we can't even sit down and talk about it.
Well, Trump said he wasn't. Then he said he was going to meet with them, but they've got to meet between now and tomorrow. It's got to happen. So again, the version that the Democrats want, they want to permanently extend the Affordable Care Act tax credit and then reverse or roll back recent Medicaid and SNAP cuts and then restore funding that was cut under the 2025 Rescissions Act. That's it. That's it.
And health
that's all they want.
Just be something accessible. And I know because I work in construction that these people who vote in the right don't care about others. It's very upsetting to see that. It's very upsetting.
Well, it's upsetting, but it's not. It's par for the course, though.
Yeah. It just hurts. Well, really, I just called up for that. I wanted to see what that was because I had no actual answer. I was asked that yesterday. But thank you, Steve. I appreciate it.
You got it. No problem. Thanks a lot. So that's the argument they're going to try to make. They're going to try to say, well, the Democrats just want to give trillions of dollars to illegals. No. Nope. I'm not an illegal. Well, maybe I am. I guess if I'm Antifa, I'm apparently illegal. Apparently I'm a threat to democracy. My insurance is going to go up like 75%. I can't afford it. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. I'm going to try to figure that out. It's one of those things. Small business owner, you fall in that spot, make too much money for Medicare, Medicaid, don't make enough to afford private insurance. Thank goodness for the ACA. Here we are. We've got the ACA, and Trump's putting out these viral videos talking about med beds that people are going to be like, fucking, get a job. I have multiple jobs already. I own my own business. I do this because it's important to educate people. I know you're not interested, but others are. Yeah. So that's the argument. So here we go. The government's supposed to shut down tomorrow. So there's an interesting situation. And then we're going to go into cover the mass shootings because I want to talk about that. Where is it? Right here. So we have the Democrat. This is all related. So we have the Democrat that wins the special election in Arizona, Grijalva, replacing her dad. Mike Johnson. There's consideration. If the government shuts down, they can't swear her in, right? So they could swear her in as long as Congress is in session. They could swear her in. She becomes a 218th vote to get the discharge petition across the line. So that's it. The House Oversight Committee, let me just give you the summary. Special election in Arizona gave Grijalva the seat, right? House Speaker Mike Johnson and other Republicans have strongly opposed the petition, no shit, arguing that the Oversight Committee's ongoing investigation is sufficient, which it's not, raising concerns over releasing unverified or sensitive information. It's already been addressed in the discharge petition. Trump's team is reported to be pressuring a few Republican signers, including MTG, Lauren Boebert, Nancy Mace, to withdraw their support. Some GOP members who had initially indicated support pulled back, citing the release of thousands of pages by the Oversight Committee as undermining the urgency of the petition. The House Rules Committee has reportedly declined to block the discharge petition in this case. However, the Speaker could still attempt to stall via procedural votes, tabling motions, etc. We'll get into that in just a minute. The Oversight Committee has released over 33,000 pages of DOJ documents related to Epstein. The committee has voted to subpoena the DOJ for more documents. Epstein's estate has turned over additional materials, calendars, call logs, cash ledgers to Oversight, including the birthday book. There's been handwriting analysis done on that. Once Grijalva is sworn in, the House rules require a waiting period of 7 legislative days. After that, the Speaker must allow a floor vote within 2 legislative days. If the petition succeeds, passage in the House would merely compel a release, but the measure must still pass the Senate and survive a likely presidential veto. Think about that. House GOP leaders reportedly are exploring procedural ways to delay or to block the petition vote, including interposing alternative rules or tabling motions. If it gets tabled, that means they don't vote on it. So I just want people to think about this for a second, okay? I want people to think about this, right? We're talking about crimes against kids, rape, trafficking, extortion, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? We've had Kash Patel talk about it in terms of credibility. He used the word credible. Todd Blanche used the word credible. The president's used the word credible, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, in an attempt to discredit the survivors who've spoken up and said, yeah, no, it's not a hoax. It's fucking real because it happened to me. Trying to lend credibility to Ghislaine Maxwell, who lied numerous times in her own testimony and was convicted by a jury of the crimes of which she claimed she did not do. In an attempt to try to cover all this up, Republicans in the House are either slow walking this thing or being subjected to the pressure of the White House, because Thomas Massie got on the record saying, listen, my Republican colleagues don't want to be on the record supporting a PDF file, but they are so afraid of losing their seat to the political power of the Trump team that they're probably going to just vote against it. Think about that. Think about that. If by some chance it passes the Senate, it's going to go to the president's desk and he's going to veto it. He's going to veto it. I don't think Republicans in the Senate are going to even, I think they're going to protect him. I don't think they're going to allow it to even get that far. But just think about that for a second, okay? Think about it. It should be the easiest vote for any member of Congress at any point. And it should be the easiest vote for anybody who's ever served in Congress. It should be 435 names. Everybody saying, we want all the information, because the discharge petition goes 10 steps further than what the Oversight Committee is releasing. Speaking of the Oversight Committee, they are releasing some more information, which we knew was going to happen anyway. But Elon Musk, Steve Bannon, Peter Thiel, their names were connected. Yep. Where's the story? And don't forget, Trump, in conversations with his own DOJ, said, I don't know why people are so obsessed with Epstein. Palm Beach in the 90s was a different time. Okay. I'm a little bit speechless. I don't even know how to react to that. But every Democrat has signed it. They're stalling to try to get, because they know that this person's has already sworn. There's no reason that they wouldn't have sworn her in, because she won by 45% of the vote. The Secretary of State has already certified the election. Mike Johnson's going to try to lie to say, oh, we don't have everything we need. Yeah, James Walkinshaw in Virginia, the last Democrat to win the special election, had less from his Secretary of State from his state, and he was immediately sworn in. Right? So don't let anybody on the right try to tell you anything other than Republicans in the Congress are protecting Donald Trump. And not just Trump. It's not just Trump. It's Peter Thiel. It's Steve Bannon. It's Elon Musk now. Now, there's also new reporting recently that Elon Musk exposed himself to a private flight attendant. Yep, he did that. And we had a little bit of fun with that story in the mod chat last night because in an attempt to try to make the story go away, let's see if I can find it. Flight attendant for SpaceX said Elon Musk asked her to do more during a massage, the documents show. The billionaire founder exposed his junk to her and offered to buy her a horse, according to claims in the declaration. After she reported the incident to SpaceX, Musk's company paid her $250,000 as part of a severance agreement. Listen, I'm going to show you my junk. I'm going to buy you a horse. And his name's on logs. Yep. His name's on flight logs. Steve Bannon, Peter Thiel. What are we supposed to do with that information? So she's sold out? I wouldn't say that is sold out. Right? It's a settlement. Somebody want to explain that? Don't forget, Elon said Trump's in the Epstein files. He said that back in June, right after he left the White House. So, release the tapes, release the files, release all of it. Why are they hiding it? What is there to hide? Why? So think about just the last couple of weeks. We got RFK Jr., we've got Kash Patel getting eviscerated in their hearings before the House and the Senate. Absolutely eviscerated. Lies about acetaminophen, lies about autism, lies about vaccines, that it's going to harm people. Kash Patel lying about what he has, what he knew, what he didn't know, what he could release, what he couldn't release. One lie after another. One lie after another. To do what? You're lying. You're lying to protect predators. You're lying to cover up crimes against kids. You're lying to cover up sexual crimes against children, trafficking, rape, etc., etc., etc. That's how history is going to remember elected Republicans. That's how they're going to be remembered. And people who support that movement, so 220 members of Congress assume they don't vote for it. They don't vote for passage. Anybody in America who voted for any one of those 220, you're complicit. You're protecting predators too. That's how it works. That's my new focus. I don't give a fuck if you claim you don't support these kinds of things. You voted for it. You said, you know what? I'm going to send that person to D.C. That person that's in D.C. representing me is not going to vote to have all the information released. Therefore, I'm complicit. Own it. It's your scarlet letter. Own it. Who the fuck are you protecting? Who are you protecting? You're protecting the people who are perpetrating these crimes against kids. You've been told all along that it's the radical left. Okay, if it's the radical left, then you should be standing in line. It's the global elites. It's the global cabal. It's this international network of crimes against kids. That it's all perpetrated by the Democrats. Okay, cool. Then have every Republican sign the document so we can see it, so we can expose all those evil Democrats, all those global elites. Why not? Why are you not pushing it? Why? I know why. Because you're afraid of what's there. You're afraid that you're going to have to deal with the fact that you voted for a guy who committed the most horrible crimes imaginable, in my opinion. Crimes against kids. We already know every single day, there's a GOP Predators website. Every single day, We find another elected Republican or a prominent Republican figure or some church leader or community leader who identifies as MAGA, commits crimes against kids. What's a lie, Mary? It's truth. Why can't you support it? Why can't you demand to have the files released? It shouldn't be that hard. It shouldn't be. So why has it become so hard? That's what I want to know. Why? Mary, what did I lie about? We're talking about crimes against kids. And if you claim to be the Christians that you are, then you should be standing in front of me demanding this. Because I'm not a Christian. I'm not. I can tell you right now, though, that growing up Catholic and going through what the Catholic Church went through when I was younger and how dangerous it became for young boys and girls, like the predator convention, they would just move the predators around.
Donne-moi une minute, je vais te dire. Tu as du retour, je vais te dire. Attends. Aujourd'hui, nous avons toujours été en guerre et nous sommes en guerre. Et nous, aujourd'hui, nous faisons comprendre justement à la nouvelle génération, la jeune génération, que sans les lumières du passé, le présent n'est que mensonge. Et à un moment donné dans la vie, tu as besoin des alliés. Mais pour pouvoir connaître qui peuvent être tes alliés, va voir comment ils se sont comportés il y a quelques jours, il y a quelques années. Hein? La seule manière de connaître les gens, c'est ça. Et aujourd'hui, en Afrique, nous avons par exemple des pays comme l'AES aujourd'hui, qui ont fait des choses par exemple avec des pays comme la Russie. La Russie qui est représentée par exemple, prenons un exemple, aux yeux, dans le paradigme européen, l'Européen, sûrement le paradigme américain, comme étant l'ennemi. Mais en vérité, l'ennemi c'est l'Amérique. Mais parce que l'Amérique a toujours vendu cette image que nous avons depuis la tendre enfance. Ils sont les plus bons, ils sont les meilleurs, ils sont ceci. Donc c'est ce que les gens pensent. Ce que tu fais là, c'est exactement ça. C'est que ce que tu dis là, tu dois apporter des preuves de ce que tu dis. Et c'est pour ça qu'on dit, parce que si demain on doit aller s'allier avec un certain nombre de personnes, on doit prendre cela en considération. Quel est le passé qu'ils ont vécu? Et ils ne veulent plus vivre cela. C'est clair. Donc, les Slaves ont vécu justement ce qui se passe. C'est pour ça qu'ils ne veulent plus. Les Chinois ont vécu cela. C'est pour ça qu'ils ne veulent plus. C'est pour ça qu'ils peuvent aller créer les BRICS. Justement pour pouvoir aider les gens. Chacun a son bénéfice dedans. Clair. Mais eux, ils ont vécu cela. C'est pour ça qu'ils ne veulent plus vivre cela. C'est pour ça qu'ils viennent aider les autres pays qui ont vécu cela. Et toi, tu veux hiérarchiser la forme de souffrance. C'est dangereux.
Oui, je suis pas universaliste. Non, je hiérarchise pas, mais je suis pas universaliste. Je ne crois pas que les Chinois...
Non, mais tu entretiens la confusion, mon frère. Tu entretiens la confusion.
Non, c'est peut-être encore confus pour toi, mais c'est...
Tu vas jusqu'à parler du mot servitude et tu fais un parallélisme entre la servitude,
non.
En fait, le serviteur
J'ai posé la question. Moi, c'est pas moi qui ai fait le français.
C'est terrible.
J'ai posé la question. Donne-moi la définition pour te dire si ça existe ou pas dans ma langue. J'ai posé la question. Si tu me dis l'esclavage, c'est tout ce que eux ils ont fait, que vous considérez que c'est de l'esclavage, c'est-à-dire déportation, castration, viol, tout ça, je te dis non, je ne connais pas ça dans ma langue. Point. Mais je sais que ça a d'autres orientations. C'est pas moi qui ai inventé le français. Donc si toi après tu fais citoyen du monde et que tu dis que les Slaves, les Chinois, les ceci, cela ont vécu l'esclavage, si tu veux, moi je distingue de ce que moi et mon peuple ont vécu de ce que eux ils ont vécu. Si pour toi ça c'est hiérarchisation, si tu veux, moi je suis pas universaliste. Je suis pas universaliste.
En fait, tu es en train
je suis dans l'autodétermination et c'est pas à eux de me faire mon narratif.
Tu te confonds et tu confonds tout le monde. Ben si,
non.
Tu confonds. En fait, c'est toi qui as amené le mot serviteur. Moi, je suis resté sur le mot esclave. C'est toi qui as introduit le mot serviteur. Premier élément de confusion.
Mais avant d'arriver, je t'ai demandé ça veut dire quoi?
S'il te plaît. C'est toi qui es venu avec la comparaison avec le peuple slave. Deuxième élément de confusion. D'accord? Troisième élément de confusion, c'est toi qui dis finalement
il a dit
que en fait les pratiques.
Il dit
Mais
que
oui, bien sûr.
esclave et serviteur, ce sont des synonymes.
C'est la même chose. C'est lui qui a fait tous les éléments de confusion dans la discussion.
Doom,
oui.
Bon, bonjour.
Bonjour.
Losako ndekolanga le vedi là, mon amboka. Malgré que au changer au continuer on est en mambakati, bon, en fait, ce que tu dois savoir que, et les frères est en train de t'expliquer ici, c'est mettre d'abord faire un distinguo entre un serviteur et esclave. Esclave qui émane du mot slave, qui est un peuple bien connu. On va pas trop danser sur ça. Un esclave, il est vu d'abord au premier sens comme une chose, un bien. On pouvait acheter un esclave, on pouvait les vendre ou les changer. Vous comprenez? Et pourtant, un serviteur, lui, reçoit une rémunération en contrepartie de son prestation de service. D'accord? Bien sûr, Mme Suprême, on le connaît, lui, c'est l'enfant de la maison. Donc, c'est ça la différence. Alors, le peuple slave, c'est un peuple qui a vécu du côté de l'Est, comme vous le savez bien. Mais ce sont les habitudes, ou bien les traditions, leurs habitudes qu'ils ont importées chez nous. Et ils nous ont justement attribué ce titre de esclave. Donc, est-ce qu'on peut muter d'abord ce monsieur ici? C'est une dame, c'est un monsieur. Merci beaucoup. Alors, il y a d'abord une déshumanisation pour ce qui est de l'esclave. Vous voyez, ça je viens de vous l'expliquer. Il y a la perte des libertés. Parce que l'esclave ne décide pas pour lui-même. Ses choix, son travail, sa vie est contrôlé par le maître. Donc il fait du travail forcé. Il est contraint de travailler sans rémunération juste. Souvent dans des conditions très dures. Vous comprenez? Et dans beaucoup de systèmes, les enfants d'esclaves naissent esclaves. Voilà. Donc si on peut d'abord éclaircir ça, pour ce qui est de notre frère le dévi là, ça sera bien. Au top, cher frère.
Ceux des serviteurs aussi, quand ils naissent, ils finissent serviteurs généralement. Des fois, voire même pire.
Ouais, non, mais en fait, moi, je suis pas pour le fait que quand on commence à parler d'un mot ou d'un phénomène, on mélange tous les autres phénomènes. On parle d'une pratique précise, on parle de l'esclavage.
Oui, merci.
Il n'y avait aucun intérêt d'ajouter le mot serviteur s'il n'y avait pas une volonté de confondre. Il faut être clair. On parle d'esclavage. Et pour les Africains, c'est ce que j'ai dit, j'insiste. Pour tous les Africains, le mot esclave est clair, avec tout ce contenu, tout son bagage. Pour les Africains, et j'ai dit le mot afro-conscient, pour tous les afro-conscients, le mot esclavage est très clair. Et les gens savent ce que ça contient aujourd'hui. Donc, il n'y avait aucune utilité d'amener le mot serviteur. Le mot serviteur appartient à ceux qui veulent brouiller les pistes. Nous, les faits sont là. L'histoire, elle est là. OK? Donc, on parle de ça en avance.
Moi, la différence, c'est juste, je ne veux justement pas confondre le mot esclave ou esclavage avec ce que j'estime, ce que
on se calmer, le noir, c'est le dernier, comme les faits, c'est des gens se matent à peine et voulaient se manger des fruits.
Mais Bill, il faut les virer.
Je veux juste pas qu'on confonde. Je vois ce que tu veux dire. Je comprends que la connotation qu'on a derrière. Et moi, avec peut-être la petite rigueur que j'essaie de m'appliquer, je ne veux pas m'associer à ce terme-là parce que aujourd'hui, même les gens qui travaillent 5 jours par semaine, ils disent que c'est de l'esclavage. Donc ça veut dire quoi ce que moi j'ai vécu dans le temps après? C'est que, tu comprends où je suis? Tu vois?
Non, mais en fait, attention, les gens, ils peuvent banaliser les choses, mais en fait, lorsqu'on on parle d'esclavage et concernant le peuple africain, il n'y a aucune confusion. Les gens peuvent utiliser le mot comme ils en veulent. J'arrive, mon frère.
Mais tu sais pourquoi je prends le temps?
Pourquoi je prends le temps pour te parler, frère? Je vais te dire une chose. En fait, tu sais pourquoi je prends le temps pour te parler, le Vedila? Excuse-moi. Pourquoi je prends le temps pour te parler? Parce que je
prends le temps de te parler aussi.
Oui, bien sûr. En fait, parce que tu prends le temps et je t'en remercie. Mais je vais dire, en fait, parce que je sais que nous tous ici, on a quelque chose à apporter à l'Afrique. Et je veux qu'on se rende compte de ce que nous disons et de notre position. C'est-à-dire, faisons le ménage dans notre tête. Ce n'est pas toi seul, nous tous. On doit être très précis dans ce qu'on dit. On doit être conséquent. Et on doit être vraiment logique dans nos analyses. On doit éviter les confusions. Parce que ça n'aide pas nos jeunes frères ou simplement nos frères qui nous écoutent. Si nous prenons la parole devant les gens ici, Nous avons l'exigence d'être précis. Parce que là, on parlait de l'esclavage d'un peuple. On a parlé de la religion. Vous avez entretenu une confusion. À la fin, bon, même si on s'est retrouvés, mais le début, ce n'était pas facile. On est arrivé sur le mot esclave. Vous avez entretenu encore des confusions en introduisant des mots qui n'ont absolument rien à voir avec ce dont nous parlons. Donc, quand vous faites ça, les gens qui nous écoutent, qu'est-ce qui va se passer? Ils sortiront avec quoi? Essayons de nous projeter à la place de ceux qui nous écoutent. Ne parlons pas pour argumenter. Je vous dis que nous avons une obligation pédagogique. Pourquoi? Parce qu'en fait, vous savez très bien que nous sommes un peuple qui nous ne ressemblons pas aux autres du point de vue historique. Nous avons un combat à faire. C'est ce que vous ne comprenez pas. Et un combat pour élever ce continent. Ça ne peut pas se faire en fait dans la confusion. Il faut que nous soyons conséquents avec nous-mêmes et clairs avec nous-mêmes et tracer quelque chose que les gens peuvent comprendre, que nos enfants peuvent comprendre. Si on commence... Oui.
Papa, j'ai compris. Mais regarde, tu parles de confusion. Moi, j'estime que justement, je n'ai pas voulu faire de confusion entre ce que nous, on a vécu et ce qu'on appelle généralement esclavage. Même si je sais que vous avez notion à ce que nous, on a vécu. C'est simplement ça. Quand la question m'a été posée pour demander est-ce que ce mot-là existe dans ma langue, j'ai eu besoin de précision. Toi, tu as parlé que tu as dit qu'on doit intervenir avec précision, ceci, cela, etc. J'ai demandé précision parce que la connotation qu'on ramène dans tout ce mot-là, ça n'a rien à voir à ce que moi, j'estime que ce qu'on a vécu. Et que bien sûr, ce que nous, on a vécu, je ne l'ai pas vu dans nos peuples. C'est ça. Là, je suis dans la recherche de la précision. Je suis pas dans la recherche de la confusion. Là, c'est toi, peut-être, tu confonds, ou bien tu veux confondre que les Slaves, tous les peuples qui ont été soumis, ou tous les peuples qui ont été serviteurs, ou tous les peuples ceci, cela, ben, c'est de l'esclavage. Et
je vais être clair avec toi.
Ceux qui partent
les autres peuples ont vécu, ça ne m'intéresse pas. Honnêtement, je vais te dire une chose. Hein. Pourtant, je suis humain, mais ce que les autres peuples ont vécu, ça ne m'intéresse pas du tout. Et je ne parle même pas de ça. Parce qu'en fait, je n'ai même pas fini avec le combat de mes frères du Congo. Je n'ai pas fini avec le combat de mes frères du Mali. Je n'ai pas fini avec le combat de mes frères, en fait, du Nigeria. Mais comment est-ce que je vais me traumatiser avec l'histoire des autres? S'il vous plaît, ils sont tellement autonomes, ils savent de quoi ils parlent. Quand tu parles du terme esclave à un slave, il sait, parce que c'est un rapport avec son histoire, il a sa réalité. Nous sommes des Africains. Quand on va parler de l'esclavage ou de la colonisation, nous savons de quoi nous parlons. Je veux pas qu'on mélange les autres peuples avec nous. Je ne veux pas de comparaison. Je ne veux pas me comparer à un autre peuple. Puisque nous avons des problèmes, nous n'arrivons pas à traiter nos problèmes. Pourquoi on va aller ajouter le problème des autres ou aller se confondre avec le problème des autres? Encore une fois, j'appelle à la clairvoyance de chacun de nous. Je veux qu'on soit
Est-ce que le slave, il considère qu'il a vécu l'esclavage?
Mais en fait, c'est son problème. En fait, ce que je suis en train de te dire, mon frère. En fait, le slave traite son problème.
En fait, la question, c'était un peu comme ça que je l'ai senti. Quand on m'a demandé, c'est comme si tu demandes à un slave, est-ce que le slave, il dirait qu'il a vécu l'esclavage? Tu comprends le niveau?
Attends, s'il te plaît. En fait, c'est comme nos frères aujourd'hui qui parlent de la Palestine. Mais qu'est-ce que j'ai à faire, moi? Je n'ai pas le temps de parler suffisamment de Congo. Encore une fois, je reprends mon exemple. Je n'ai pas suffisamment de temps de parler du Burkina Faso. Pourquoi je vais aller m'embarrasser ou m'encombrer avec une autre histoire dont ils ont suffisamment les moyens pour traiter leurs problèmes? Vous voyez le problème de nous, les Africains. Ici, on n'est pas sur le panel pour se faire plaisir. On n'est pas là pour discuter. Vous savez, moi, excusez-moi, je sais qu'il y a la plupart d'entre vous. Mon frère Believe, parfois, il se tape des lives des heures et des heures. Il ne dort pas. Vous pensez qu'il fait tout ça pourquoi, en fait? Il faut que vous compreniez déjà la philosophie qui nous anime. Qu'est-ce qui nous anime? Qu'est-ce que nous cherchons? Au début, j'ai dit qu'il faut prendre tout dans son contexte. Nous ne sommes pas là pour des arguments, des mots. Nous sommes là pour trouver des chemins. Et ça se fait avec la clarté, avec la science. Si on n'est pas capable de faire ça, en fait, on perd du temps. Je veux pas qu'on perde du temps, s'il vous plaît. Et ceux qui ont un minimum, qui peuvent lire juste un petit peu, comme par exemple le Vedila, mettez ça au profit du peuple. Et je sais que vous pouvez faire mieux. Moi, je suis conscient. Raison pour laquelle je vous dis que je vous parle. Parce que je sais que vous pouvez faire mieux. S'il vous plaît, mettons de l'ordre dans nos cerveaux. Et essayons de comprendre l'essentiel de ce que nous sommes en train de défendre. Sinon, on va se perdre. C'est ce que je voulais juste partager avec toi. Je laisse la parole.
Doum, je vais dire vite fait quelque chose. C'est grave. Mais c'est extrêmement grave qu'en 2025, c'est que moi je suis occupé là, moi je sors toujours les preuves très rapidement, que quelqu'un puisse nous dire, un papa comme lui, nous dise que servitude et esclave sont des synonymes. C'est pas croyable.
C'est choquant.
Qu'un papa comme lui vient nous dire qu'il veut hiérarchiser la souffrance et dit tel peuple, parce que tel peuple a souffert 400 ans, 600 ans, et l'autre peuple a souffert comme ça, ce n'est pas la même chose. C'est incroyable. Autant, ce n'est peut-être pas notre histoire, mais on peut étudier l'histoire. Et quand on étudie l'histoire, on ne s'arrête pas seulement à notre histoire. Parce que l'histoire des autres nous a affectés aussi. Nous n'avons jamais fait la guerre, nous n'avons jamais déclaré la guerre mondiale à quelqu'un, mais nous avons participé à la guerre mondiale.
Oui.
C'est incroyable. Et quand on parle de guerre mondiale, c'est comme si nous étions là-bas, comme si nous étions acteurs, mais on n'a pas pris nos peuples pour aller mourir là-bas. Est-ce que nous avons décidé de quelque chose? Nous étions là-bas? Non. Mais si
qu'est-ce qu'on a bien ici après?
Est-ce que je peux te poser une question?
On ne peut pas accepter. Et le problème, c'est ceci. Comment est-ce que vous voulez qu'on garde son calme, on continue à respecter quelqu'un qui peut dire que l'esclavage et la servitude sont des synonymes? C'est incroyable si c'est pas possible.
Est-ce que je peux te poser une question?
Louvedi, là,
la même question que tout à l'heure. Est-ce que les Slaves disent qu'ils ont vécu l'esclavage?
Vraiment. Tu sais, mon frère, je vais être encore une fois.
Ah, Doom, Papa Doom. C'est à Papa Believe que j'ai demandé.
Ah oui, d'accord. Parce que comme tu as dit Papa Doom, ok, ben je vais laisser Believe répondre.
Est-ce que les Slaves disent qu'ils ont vécu l'esclavage?
Je t'aurais déjà descendu. En temps normal, je t'aurais déjà descendu. Moi, je parle plus.
Non, c'est pour essayer de te faire comprendre ce que moi j'ai ressenti quand la question m'a été posée, parce que j'ai souci de moi-même définir ce que j'ai vécu et de ne pas me mélanger avec des concepts qui sont vulgarisés, qu'on dirait esclavage moderne, tout ça, tout ça. Mais je suis pas contre avec ce que vous allez dire.
La seule raison pour laquelle je te garde sur le live, c'est la seule raison pour laquelle je suis là sur le live, c'est pour justement montrer aux gens comment quelqu'un peut bien parler français. Je ne mets pas le cœur. Écoute, que quelqu'un peut bien parler le français comme il parle, comme tu parles là, et être foncièrement dangereux pour la communauté. Je dis, tu es extrêmement dangereux.
Okay.
Tu parles là, tu chocoles un peu et tout, tu sais que tu mets un peu, tu saupoudres un peu ça avec tu es comme un petit français là. C'est clair que dans la communauté, tu es un intellectuel. Tu es supposé être intellectuel, c'est ce qu'il dit. Et tu es dangereux.
Bon, regarde, là vous êtes en train de parler de quelqu'un. Excuse-moi, le Louvedi là. Là vous êtes en train de parler, vous brossez le portrait de quelqu'un qui prend tout son temps pour essayer de décrypter nos langues afin d'y apporter une éclaircie, notamment sur le plan non seulement religieux, mais en plus sociétal et sur bien d'autres domaines. Donc du coup, dire que ce monsieur, moi ça me fait un peu mal, parce que c'est pas d'aujourd'hui que je connais ce monsieur. Maintenant, si je peux compter les années, ça fait peut-être 7-8 ans par là. Donc du coup, je trouve que c'est un peu dommage d'en en arriver là à cette conclusion un peu hâtive à mon sens, juste parce que il y a eu, je dirais, une méprise sur les mots, parce que je pense que vous n'avez pas compris le fond de ce qu'il a voulu dire.
Non, bien.
J'y arrive. Excusez-moi, pardon. Par esclavage et synonyme à serviteur. La problématique, c'est laquelle? Du moins le fond.
Share, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And you're saying about conspiracy theories. There was one decent one about the whole Tylenol thing, and it had to do with something one of your listeners brought up a few days ago about autism and oral sperm instead of Tylenol. So connect the dots.
Yeah, connect the dots indeed. Thanks for jumping in there, buddy.
All right, go Sox, baby.
Let's go. Go Sox, buddy. Talk to you later. See ya.
All right.
Sports ball talk. Red Sox are in the playoffs. They play the Yankees starting tomorrow night in New York. 3-game series. Let's fucking go. All right. Anybody else that's in the box? No. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about those incidences over the weekend of, again, just the epidemic of firearm violence in our country. And there is no indications that it was a trans person, a queer person, an immigrant, a black person, a purple-haired leftist. Nope. They seem to fit a particular category. What could that category be? Oh, aggrieved white men. Yep. Yeah, that happened. So this is the reporting that we know over the weekend. Everybody, if you wouldn't mind, just, hey, there's 700 people in here. Thanks for coming back, everybody. We'll win our appeal. I want to thank Angie for your $1. Angie's on the dollar train. And thank you, Z. Appreciate you very, very much. If Donald Trump is in the Epstein files in both the House and the... What is your comment? I didn't read the rest of it. I missed that. Anywho, over the weekend, Sunday, September the 28th, yesterday, shooter drove a pickup into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc Township. The assailant then opened fire on worshipers and set the building on fire. At least 4 people now have lost their life. The person, I won't give their name, age 40, and a former U.S. Marine, was fatally shot by police about 8 minutes after the attack began. Authorities are still combing through the remains of the church for additional victims and investigating the motive, including examination of explosive devices recovered at the scene. The FBI is treating this as a case of targeted act of violence. North Carolina waterfront bar attack. On Saturday night, gunmen opened fire from a boat into a crowd at the American Fish Company, a waterfront restaurant in Southport, North Carolina. 3 people lost their lives, at least 5 more injured. The suspect, I won't give their name, age 40, alleged to have fired from the water, then fled by boat. He was apprehended about 30 minutes later by the U.S. Coast Guard. Local police called the attack highly premeditated and characterized the location as a targeted one. The person claims to be a combat veteran suffering from PTSD. Prior to the attack, he had minor interactions with law enforcement and had filed lawsuits against police departments. Another day. Again, don't forget, during this weekend of violence in our country, the president was tweeting out about the gold in the Oval Office, or wearing his golf shoes to the Ryder Cup. What, they're going to pull him in? They're going to ask him to make a putt for them? He's a fucking child. Okay, I have just a little bit more sound here that I want to play for you guys. Everybody keep tapping. All right. In an attempt to continue to rewrite history, okay? In an attempt to continue to rewrite history, there is now a new committee that has been formed to investigate the investigation by the original J6 committee. I shit you not. I shit you not. A new GOP-led panel could tear open raw wounds from the Capitol's most violent day. A new House panel will reinvestigate the J6 Capitol attack with an eye toward recasting the narrative about the events in D.C. that day. It's the latest sign that the insurrection remains a wound on Congress that might never fully heal amid ferocious partisan sparring. Retribution, not reconciliation, appears to be the prime motivation behind the new probe, with the Republicans behind it still bitter over the work of the panel's previous iteration, which was largely led by Democrats and concluded that President Trump was responsible and for the violence inflicted by his supporters. One GOP member of the panel, Louisiana Rep. Clay Higgins and the Ghost Buses, did not rule out questioning members of the prior committee. They were not invested in actual investigative work anyway, said Higgins, who has pushed an unfounded theory that FBI agents helped coordinate the events at the Capitol. That thing was never legitimate. It was always biased, and therefore, if we question them, it may be with the angle of having them implicate themselves in lies that they presented as the truth. That's my best, Clay Higgins. The panel's chair, Georgia Rep. Barry Loudermilk. Why is Barry Loudermilk's name? Does that ring a bell to you guys? Well, Barry Loudermilk was one of many elected members of Congress back in 2020 who had their phones seized by the FBI because of rumors of him perhaps coordinating. He's the guy, by the way, that led a tour to sensitive areas of the Capitol where people aren't supposed to go, even if you're led by an elected member of Congress. That dude, Barry Loudermilk. The panel's chair, Georgia Rep. Barry Loudermilk, describes the investigation more soberly. He said in an interview that GOP staff have been quietly toiling for months, even before Speaker Mike Johnson moved to finalize the probe. Loudermilk said his team has been, quote, talking to different entities, reviewing documents, and brainstorming potential investigative targets. We need to look at it from a factual standpoint. It's dangerous out there. There are a lot of civilians as well as members of Congress and staff and even press that were here on J6. And I think we're all interested to know, why did the Capitol get breached? Regardless of who did it, how did it get breached? Regardless of who did it? But the Democrats and even some Republicans, that rationale is a smokescreen for the panel's true purpose, rewriting the history of J6 to minimize the culpability of the president and supporters who violently assaulted police officers and were then pardoned, and entered the Capitol in an attempt to disrupt the final certification of Trump's 2020 election loss. The security failures Loudermilk cited have been the subject of a slew of wide-ranging investigations, a review by retired Army Lieutenant General Russell Honoré, a series of reports by the Capitol Police Inspectors General, and 2 appendices in the final report of the previous J6 Select Committee. So again, the recent story of about 274 FBI agents, Donald Trump went out on Truth Social. Let me just read that real quick because I think it's kind of fascinating. Where is it? God, his Truth Social page is just one big ad. It's wild. By the way, you can buy ivermectin capsules for $2, in case you were wondering. The statement from the president regarding the 274 FBI agents that were part of the instigators. This is wild. And I'm going to read it to you in case you were here for the first part of the show. You heard this. If not, I'll give it to you again. Where is it? Okay. Just revealed, the FBI had secretly placed against all rules, regulations, protocols, and standards 274 agents into the crowd just prior to and during the January 6th hoax, as he calls it. This is different. So is it a hoax? What? This is different from what Director Chris Wray stated over and over again. That's right. As it now turns out, FBI agents were at and in the J6 protests, probably acting as agitators and insurrectionists, but certainly not as law enforcement officials. That's his statement. He went public with it. Kash Patel dunked on him earlier today, over the weekend, because Kash Patel said, nope. FBI Director Patel disputed that claim. The undercover bureau agents under former Director Chris Wray provoked the J6 attack, saying instead they were deployed on a crowd control mission. Did not amount to instigation. So, in an attempt to rewrite history, the president is lying, shocker. Members of Congress are lying, shocker. The only person in this case who's telling the truth is Kash Patel, because he literally contradicted what the president wrote on Truth Social. Is it going to cost him his job? Probably. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe, probably, could. Okay. Let me just. We have to read this better. You're right, Warner. You're right. Okay. I want to go real quick. I'm going to pivot over to something that was posted. I meant to read this before. I think I have it pulled up already, because we always talk in this case about follow the money, and yeah, we know that. So let's follow it. There was a claim that's been made, an investigation that was opened by Senator Wyden. Senator Wyden is from Oregon. Oregon is in the crosshairs right now because Oregon is one of the states that Trump wants to send troops to. The state of Oregon has since sued, saying don't bring them here. This was the post that was posted by DJT. At the request of Secretary Noem, I am directing Secretary of War Pete Hegseth to provide all necessary troops to protect war-ravaged Portland and any of our ICE facilities under siege. Out of nowhere, he declared Portland war-ravaged and ordered in troops. Okay? Oregon officials, Governor Tina Kotek, Mayor Keith Wilson, immediately said it was nonsense. Portland was calm. No one has asked for help. Local leaders flatly told DJT the number of troops needed was 0. So why Oregon? Why now? Let's follow the money. Literally. Because here's the part that got buried in the noise these last few weeks. Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon has been investigating JE's financial network for over 3 years now. On September the 9th, he introduced the Produce Epstein Treasury Records Act, a bill designed to compel Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent to release all of E's suspicious financial activity reports, SARS, to the Senate. This legislation is part of Wyden's ongoing effort to trace the billions of dollars flowing through E's accounts and uncover financial enablers of his crimes. Wyden's team has already seen glimpses, more than $1.5 billion in suspicious transactions, including over 4,700 wire transfers totaling approximately $1.1 billion processed through E's JP Morgan Chase account. Payments to women from Eastern European countries, the regions where many of E's alleged victims originated. And that relates to Erica Kirk and her connection to a Romanian orphanage. Transferred through sanctioned Russian banks used to process payments tied to sex trafficking. Involvement of other major financial institutions, including Deutsche Bank, Bank of New York Mellon, and Bank of America, which facilitated roughly $1.9 billion in Epstein-linked transactions. Investments tied to billionaire Peter Thiel, who we now know is on logs, information just released by the House Oversight Democrats, including $40 million in Vala Ventures that has grown to roughly $170 million, the largest asset of Epstein's estate. And he's also pressing JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon to explain why the hell the bank continued to do business with Epstein long after his 2008 connection. Now, if y'all remember, just a few days after Wyden's bill and 2 days before DJT made the post about sending troops to Portland, it was shared that the House Oversight Committee received a third batch of documents from Epstein's estate, including calendars, call logs, and cash ledgers. These are not Treasury financial reports, but they complement Wyden's investigation by showing operational patterns, interactions, and the broader context of his network in general. In shorter words, and to make it plain, hold on a second. Shit. Let me do this. I'll be right back. God damn it.
TikTok. It is our intention during these live broadcasts to only provide fact-based information to the absolute best of our ability. We strive to never spread misinformation or to platform those that do. Opinions of our guests or commenters are theirs and theirs alone and do not reflect those of the host. Hate speech is not allowed, and we are diligent about policing it. This platform is for educational purposes only. We now return you to our regularly scheduled pandemonium, already in progress.
They're out to get us today, friends. They're out to get us today. It's all right, we're here. Okay, in shorter words, and to make it plain, the timing of DJT's troop deployment comes just days after Wyden escalated the Treasury financial investigation and just 2 days after the new e-documents were released to Congress. Coincidence? This is the kind of story that could expose powerful men, global banks, and years of cover-ups. Not that we need to say this, but I think by now we all know that this is not about law and order in Portland. So in these kinds of instances, it's best to look for what they don't want you to see. It is once again a headline-grabbing distraction. By sending troops, DJT shifts attention away, again, from the financial and operational investigations that could expose powerful people and institutions connected to E. And there's one more layer we can't ignore. Sending troops into Portland isn't just a distraction, it's a message. Is DJT showing Oregon and every other state that dares to dig too deep, the federal government can come for you if you step out of line. It's about intimidating the home base of the senator who's pulling on the financial threads of the Epstein network. It's about making the Wyden-Epstein story look like a local political scuffle instead of a global financial scandal. It's about rebranding a city known for protests and investigative journalism as war-ravaged, so anything coming out of it can be dismissed as chaos. This is how you bury a money trail. By flooding the news cycle with troops and riots and law and order, you turn the place where the investigation originates into a circus and hope the public looks away from the billion-dollar question. So no, DJT suddenly sending troops into Portland wasn't random. Wasn't random at all. So no, it was not random. And the scope of the story is no longer just about E, banks, or Congress. It's about how power and media attention can be manipulated to bury inconvenient truths. It's about drowning out the story that actually matters, the money trail, and it's about sending a warning shot at the people and places digging for those answers. So that's from Rubia Garcia. who made this post, Rubio Garcia II on X. You can follow them there. We always talk about this in terms of follow the money, right? And this is a great example about how deep this goes. All the people connected to these things and the people that are protecting them. And at the end of the day, if you think of it in terms of this way, there are 273 mostly YT men. That would be 220 Republican members of Congress, of the House, and 53 Republican senators. The overwhelming majority of that number are YT men. Those people there are standing in the way of exposing all the people connected to these crimes. Now, are any of them involved? Don't know. What are we talking about? It's my dog. God. Sorry. Damn, it got me off guard. Anyway, hello, buddy. Hello. They're mocking you. Oh, the guitars? What? I missed it. Anyway, sorry. Over my head. I want people to, the guitars? Hold on a second. Yeah, they're all there. There's more. That's just half. The other half is like over there, and then there's more over there. So there you go. Hold on. Back to this. There you go. Okay, got it. When you left, they were spotlighted. Oh, they were? Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. Anyway, I don't know where this is going to go. I have no idea where this is going to go. I have no idea if this is going to turn into what we expect it to do, which means that people are going to continue to lie about this. That's what my gut tells me. I'm hoping. And how weird is it that we have to ask for courage? How weird is it that we have to ask elected members of Congress, who many of them who ran on exposing the truth. Here they are. I was totally red. Yeah, you got me all frazzled. Anyway, focus. Namaste. When can we expect something to happen? Is the big question, because the government shuts down tomorrow night at midnight, and I told you about this before. All the Democrats want to be willing to. I'm not Zen anymore currently. No, I'm not. The government shuts down tomorrow night at midnight because Democrats, all they want is the extension of the ACA tax credit. Otherwise, everybody's insurance is going to go up like 75%. It's fucking ridiculous. And peel back the money that you cut from Medicaid that goes to rural hospitals primarily. The Republicans are going to lie to you saying the Democrats want to give all that money to illegals. It's not true at all. Simultaneously, we've got a duly elected representative out of Arizona, Congresswoman-elect Grijalva, replacing her dad, needs to be sworn in. Mike Johnson's slow rolling it. Okay? We know there's going to be an impact. There's a member of our family whose family is going to be impacted if the government shuts down. I get it. But I don't see an alternative here. I really don't. I really don't see an alternative. So, no, you can come out of your hole, Sam. That's fine. You've been relieved. You're released, I should say, from your punishment. I don't even know. I don't even know. And then at the same time, so we've got this threat of using the military to go into cities that don't even need it. We've got indictments against people who don't even have a crime. Even the people in the agencies who are investigating it say there's nothing to fucking see here. We have nothing. And then when you get these same experts who go on safe spaces like Fox News,
give us your reaction to the indictment.
When they go, they literally sit down with Maria. They sit down with Maria Bartiromo. Give us your reaction to the indictment. They bring in an expert.
First, give us your reaction to the indictment. Well, I don't think there's a case. You know, the things that Kash Patel that you just played that he was talking about that you and I have spoken about for years, Maria, the Russiagate stuff, I'm as big a critic of that probably as there is. I wrote a book about it. I think it was a disgrace, and history will remember it that way. This indictment is not about that.
Exactly.
And it seems to be premised on something that's not true, which is that McCabe said that Comey authorized him to leak to the Wall Street Journal. If you look closely at what McCabe said was that he directed a leak to the Wall Street Journal and told Comey about it after the fact. So it's true that Comey never authorized it in the sense of okaying it before it happened. So I don't see how they can make that case.
What about the leaking in general? I mean, what about leaking a story that they may have known was a lie to the media? Because if you're the director of the FBI...
Oh, Maria, but that's not what this case is about, Maria. You didn't expect that answer from somebody in your little, you know, coven, did you? Well, you just got dunked on, so now you're scrambling. Now what do I do?
You need the evidence to say, yeah, I mean... You know, for years, congressmen and lawmakers were trying to understand, Devin Nunes, John Radcliffe, trying to understand what's the origins of this investigation. So what was the origins of Russia collusion with Trump? And so they never really had any evidence of it, but they leaked it to the press?
Yeah, but that's not what this case is about.
Exactly.
I totally agree with you if you were talking about the information that was provided to the FISA court that claimed that Trump was in collusion with the Kremlin.
Oh, that was
but
proven
that's
too.
not what this case is about.
Yeah, but guess what, dude? That was proven too. We dunked on you with that story as well, so move on.
What this case is about is Comey is accused of lying because what Ted Cruz said, and this, yeah, right, and what Cruz said, and I think this was just a garble on his part, was that Comey authorized McCabe to orchestrate the leak. And what the Inspector General found, and this isn't even just what the Inspector General found, this is McCabe's own version of events.
Exactly.
McCabe said that he directed the leak and he told Comey about it afterwards. Now, they have a dispute about what exactly McCabe told Comey afterwards and whether Comey was approving or disapproving of it. But the charge is that Comey authorized the leak, and he didn't authorize the leak.
I see. First, give us your...
So, Mark Robinson, you said he lied under oath. Who lied under oath? Ted Cruz? Yeah, you're right. Ted Cruz lied under oath for sure. Comey didn't. He said the same story. And this guy confirmed it. I know that's difficult. I know you guys are so desperate to hang this on someone. You're like so desperate that you want James Comey. By the way, you should be thanking Comey. Did you buy his book? Because his book helped get Trump elected the first time. I sent you an invite, Mark. I'll send you another one. Come up and we can talk about it. I'm just curious. Come on up. Come on, Mark. Come on up. I just would like to hear your perspective on the case because we've been through this morning. You're driving. You're driving, but you're texting. Okay, got it. Anyway, it's unfortunate for you. It's just unfortunate that you're allowing yourself to fall so deeply down this rabbit hole that you will just accept whatever Ted Cruz is telling you or the indictment when you've got all these experts even going into safe space like Fox saying that's not what Comey said at all. That's just not what he said. So I'll wait for you, Mark. Let me know. And just as a reminder, this is what happened in the court with the person trying to indict James Comey.
A little awkwardness in the courtroom because two different versions of the indictment, as I understand it, were presented, and the judge questioned what was going on and noted that Halligan had signed both of them. It had to do with the confusion, I think, over the third count being no-billed by the grand jury. But that just underscored just how new she is at this, and it's raising questions on who is going to prosecute this case? Is it going to be Lindsay Halligan, who has no prosecutorial experience? Will they have to bring in somebody from the outside? Because it appears that nobody inside that office, the Eastern District of Virginia, is prepared to do it. There's a little awkwardness in.
So it's such a great point, right? It's like the ultimate point. Like who's going to prosecute it? No one in the office stands by anything that's been stated. There's no argument to justify the indictment in general. One of the charges got kicked. Apparently, like that never happens. Like usually the grand jury will indict based on what you present. There's even the experts in this community, even the experts that go on Fox News say the same thing. There's no evidence here. But yet Mark Robinson apparently has the answer. You're making claims that he lied. The entire indictment is based on that. Yet no one says he lied about anything. In fact, the testimony that Ted Cruz used, Ted Cruz lied about. So make up your mind. It's not that hard. I know it's scary. I know it's really scary. So Joe Walsh, by the way, who used to be a Republican member of Congress, who's really flipped, who's now going after Republicans for this bullshit. This is what he says on X. It doesn't matter what you think of James Comey. All that matters is this. The president of the United States has been ordering the Justice Department to go after his political opponents. That's wrong. It's what fascists do. It's banana republic stuff. It's an abuse of power. It's a direct attack on the very concept of equal justice before the law. It's an impeachable offense. It's a direct attack on integrity and independence of the Justice Department. Every single prosecutor at the DOJ should threaten to resign and protest. None of this is normal, and none of this is okay. Not here in America. This is how the rule of law dies, and not one Republican will say a damn thing. It is so true. So Mark, get up here so that you can have your time in the sun. All right. I'm going to read you this interesting story that was reported on by CNN, and I like it because I think we have to start talking about the electorate as we move towards midterms. The largest registered voting bloc in America are independents, right? It's always been that way. So there's a story, and they talk about this, and they broke it down to a couple of different ways. Picture an independent voter. You might be imagining someone who takes their time considering the candidates and their positions on the issues, who generally has faith in the political system, who sometimes votes for Republicans and sometimes votes for Democrats. A true independent. CNN poll in coordination with Gallup takes a deeper look into who political independents are, finds the notion of a classic swing voter is a thing of the past. The poll results identify 5 distinct types of independents with big implications for American politics. As party loyalty fades and the definition of the elusive swing voter shifts, elections are increasingly decided by who among those groups show up to vote. Among independents, there is a subset that rejects the party's labels but aligns closely with one of the 2 major parties on many issues, which we're calling Democratic lookalikes and Republican lookalikes. The poll also identifies 2 groups that remix the definition of a traditional swing voter. It's the disappointed middle and the upbeat outsider. And then a 5th group, the checked out, is largely uninterested in politics. So this is how it breaks down. All right. More Americans identify as independents than Republicans or Democrats. 28% are considered registered Republicans, 27% registered Democrats, 44% are registered independents or identify as an independent. The upbeat outsider, 6 in 10 of those surveyed say things in the U.S. are going well today and most see America's best days ahead. Only 12% of those think the political system needs a complete overhaul. Those are the upbeat outsiders. Ask yourself if you're an independent voter, if you fall into any of these categories, okay? The disappointed middle. A majority say they've voted for an independent or third-party candidate in a presidential or statewide election. 7 in 10 say the economy is an extremely important issue for them. The Democratic lookalikes. More than 8 in 10 are angry about President Trump's policies. About 2/3 say America's best days are long behind us. The Republican lookalikes. Most say political leaders should do what they think is right, not listen to the experts. I read that when I was just like, what? Just do what you think is right. Ignore the science. Ignore the truth about vaccines. Ignore the truth about election integrity. Ignore the truth about crime. As long as it feels right, as long as you get a little tingle in your pants, then it's fine. About 7 in 10 of those say America's best days lie ahead. Then the checked out. Almost no one in this group voted in 2024, and most rarely vote in major elections. Almost 9 in 10 say no one in politics speaks for people like them. The largest group of all of them is that group. That is a gettable group. The people who are checked out in the system. They don't believe that anybody's looking out for them. They don't believe that they have a voice, that they have any kind of say. I think that is a gettable group. I really, really do. Almost no one in this group voted, and most rarely vote at all. Okay? But they identify as independent, which means they don't have a loyalty. They're looking for solutions. So one of the biggest criticisms, and I hope they hear again, one of the biggest criticisms of Democratic messaging is you speak at voters, not to them. You'll do a campaign ad, you'll gather a bunch of people, but you're ignoring what these people in particular are saying about the state of affairs, about the cost of housing. And like we said before, Republican politics favor the rich. There's no denying. They favor the rich. Democratic policies don't do enough to protect the middle class. So neither party truly cares enough about the middle class, although the Democrats, without question, have policies that are much more middle class oriented. Tax policies, climate policies, jobs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's not even close. All right, so it's not even close. I'm not going to debate it with people because they're not going to believe it anyway. So I think that's a really good. I think there's a lot of people that are in the middle there, like the checked out group. I have issues with people who don't participate in democracy. I really do. One thing to say, I don't like the people who say, yeah, well, it's both sides. That's a cop out. For people who are truly disenfranchised by the system, that I get. I still wish they would vote, but I think that's a group of gettable voters if you have the right messaging. I know people lobbying for me to be the communications director for the DNC. Sign me the fuck up and get out of my way. But I think that's a true gettable segment of our electorate. And it's the largest group through this poll, again, conducted by CNN with Gallup. The largest group of independent voters identify as the checked out class, so to speak. So we'll be watching it. We will be watching it for sure. All right. A few more things I wanted to kind of play for you guys here today. I played that. That's pretty disturbing. Played that too. Okay. This is again attempting to deny the existence of weaponization of government.
In terms of whether or not you think it will actually hold up in court.
Yeah, what amazes me, Martha, is that people seem to think this must be about Russiagate. This must be about how they lied to the FISA court and got the authority to do the surveillance and the whole Trump-Russia collusion nonsense. This is not that. This is a sort of a petty thing about the Clinton campaign. But if you look at the underlying facts of the indictment, to the extent you can make them out, because the indictment almost fails as an indictment in that it doesn't give you notice of what he's actually done. But factually, there's nothing there. So this smacks of wanting to put Comey through the process, which is what lawfare is. The penalty is the process. And I think Trump feels that that's what was done to him. And I don't think he particularly is that interested in whether Comey ultimately gets convicted or not. He wants to put him through the process. The problem he has is those lawyers at the Justice Department, when they sign off on those pleadings, they have an ethical responsibility to at least bring a case that has a reasonable chance of prevailing, and this is not that case.
All right, we'll see what happens. You want to call me?
It's just interesting when you go on Fox and you bring these people on, and oftentimes his name is Andy McCarthy. Oftentimes I think the expectation, especially from Fox talking heads, is that they're going to support the narrative. And more these days, you're finding that it's not the case. So what the MAGA, talking heads have to kind of do is to try to spin the narrative, right? So like, it could be anything. It could be the fact that they want to jump in and say the bulk of political violence comes from the right or the left. It just doesn't. I want to play this sound again because I just think it's so appropriate. In case you didn't hear this before, this is Megyn Kelly out on the road, trying to fill Charlie Kirk's shoes by going to college campuses, and she gets called out by this student at Virginia Tech.
Why you support a president who contributes to the rhetoric that got your friend Charlie killed? You saw his rally recently. He said, "I hate my enemies."
He did.
His Stephen Miller said similar things. How can you support him when he contributed to what got Charlie killed?
Did.
Assumes facts, not evidence. What you said is not true.
Yes, it is.
70% of political violence is committed by Republicans.
It's true.
Okay.
Look it up.
That's not
DOJ just pulled it.
It's true.
The DOJ just pulled it from their website.
He's right.
DOJ just pulled the study from their
It's true.
website because they're delusional.
It's true.
That's not true because
They just pulled it. Look it up.
Once you
the
pull
DOJ
the
pulled it from their website.
Once you pull the crazies out of there, it is overwhelmingly left-wing violence.
What more needs to be said than that? What more needs to be said? Megyn Kelly is not dumb. I have a feeling she's in this position now like, fuck, that did not come off like I wanted it to. Once you remove the crazies, the majority of it is on the left. Once you remove the crazies. Here it is again.
Website. DOJ just pulled the study from their website because they're delusional.
That's not true because
they just pulled it. Look it up.
Once you pull
DOJ pulled it from their website.
Once you pull the crazies out of there, it is overwhelmingly left-wing violence.
Google it.
We have had
every single person in the audience. Google it right now.
You know, this is how we get here. So first of all, let me take on the first part of the premise of your question, that it was President Trump's rhetoric that led to an assassin.
That's not what he said. That's not what he said.
That's a blatant lie. It's a defamatory,
That's not what he said.
blaspheme, and it's inappropriate in the setting.
That's not what I said.
We know. Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
I said he contributed to the political atmosphere.
Correct.
Well, then you have no point. Then you're.
Yeah. Okay. So just to be very, very clear here, Megan, just to be clear, the same argument that your buddy Triple K is attempting to make.
Hatred has no place in the United States of America under President Donald Trump.
I hate my opponent, and I don't want the best for them. I hate my opponent, and I don't want the best for them.
Hatred has no.
That did not age well. And then when you combine that with what she just said about the trying to
Google it right now.
Hold on.
You know, this is how we get here. So first of all, let me take on the first part of the premise of your question, that it was President Trump's rhetoric that led to an assassin killing our friend Charlie Kirk. That's a blatant lie. It's a defamatory blaspheme, and it's inappropriate in the setting.
That's not what I said.
We know. Yes, it is.
No, I said he contributed to the political atmosphere.
Correct, he did.
Well, then you have no point. Then your point is utterly empty.
Your point is empty?
To the atmosphere. This guy was, no, let's just make clear. This guy was motivated by leftist ideology.
We talked about this before, okay? This guy was motivated by leftist ideology. Think about it, right? Think about this. I don't want to go through this exercise again because we've already done it. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but speaking of Elon, radicalized by left-wing ideology. If that's the argument, then what you're saying is because he started to realize, I know, utterly empty, exactly the same. He realized that the trans community, the queer community, the LGBTQI community in general, that he was told to hate, had no reason to hate him. So that's her claim. So then that would say to you, MAGA, conservatives, that if you're gay in America, you don't belong. Or if you support people who are, you become radicalized. Because that's exactly what she's saying.
Well, then you have no point. Then your point is utterly empty.
Contributing
to the atmosphere. This guy was, no, let's just make clear. This guy was motivated by leftist ideology. We know it from the bullet casings. We know it from the Utah governor. We know it from his own mother. Yes, we do. Let's be really clear on that.
Even if that's true, so then you're saying because, let's say this guy's a leftist, even if that's true, does that make it okay for the sitting president of the United States to incite violence against liberals?
The president of the United States has not accepted violence against liberals. The president of the United States made a joke at the Charlie Kirk Memorial, which was funny and
Oh, I get it. So that's Megyn Kelly, and that young man absolutely destroyed her. That was a savage fucking takedown. But the president just made a joke. He just made a joke at the eulogy funeral memorial service for his friend Charlie, who was just assassinated. And then he was doing the little rub and tug with Erica Kirk, which was fucking wild. You can check the video out on my page. But the look on his face when he was hugging her. But that was just a joke. I don't know that young man's name, but I'd love to find him. But that was just a joke, right? Just a joke. Nothing to see here. Just a joke. That's the argument. And you heard her mention Tyler Robinson's mom. And I said this before. Again, my opinions and my opinions alone. The radicalization came from his church, his community, his family, where he lived, where he went to school. Radicalized to despise. Radicalized to despise members of the queer community. Radicalized to despise anyone who did not align with their LDS Christian values. Period. His own mother. And they think it's a joke. They think it's a flex. His own mother told us that he became radicalized or influenced by left-leaning ideologies and the pro-gay and pro-trans. What the fuck does that say then? It says that people who are conservatives in America don't give a fuck about marginalized communities, in particular those in the LGBTQIA. Period. Which would then mean that anybody who's in that community who are conservative, Republicans, why are you there? They don't give a fuck about you. Apparently, you're radicalized. What do you pick and choose? Right? Is it just going to pray the gay away? Because you support him by and large, that they'll just let you pass? That you're going to be the pick-me gay? They'll accept you because you vote for what they want? Okay, that's fine. What I'm really anxious to watch is how the White House responds to Kash Patel literally dunking on his boss. Saying, nope, those 274 people, they weren't there to instigate. They were there. We sent them, the FBI sent them afterwards for crowd control because shit got crazy because you didn't do your job by calling in the National Guard when you knew you could. And then you lied to people about it. Why have they not released the Epstein files? Why? Why? All right, let me see if I've got any other thing else here on the indictments. I don't think so. Okay. Do you guys remember this? You guys remember this whole thing, right? So this with the signature and this whole thing that got lots of attention because, first of all, Mr. Trump said it didn't exist. That it just did not exist. Thank you for saying that, Fee. I appreciate you. That's very sweet. Gosh, thank you. The Oversight Committee ended up releasing this. This is from the birthday book that Donald Trump said that didn't exist. He said, no, it's not real. It didn't exist. I don't draw, all those kinds of things. Well, we know that that was a lie because this came from the Epstein estate that was released by the Oversight Committee. And then there's been a lot of talk about how it's his signature, right? Just right there. The argument is that it's not his signature. He doesn't sign stuff like that. Well, there's been numerous forensics done into in handwriting and analysts and analyses done on that. So there is a few people, numerous people have cited this or used this as an argument to say, well, that's not what we believe. We see this as your signature. The alleged note is reportedly from a 2003 birthday book gifted to J.E., including a handwritten nude figure and a message in typeface inside the drawing. Underneath is a handwritten signature that just says Donald. The signature uses only Donald, not Donald J. Trump or a full name. The drawing and the signature were published by the House Oversight Committee from Epstein's estate after being subpoenaed. Analysts claiming the signature is Trump's or at least highly consistent. Emma Bash, a graphologist, was quoted as saying the signature is absolutely Trump's. She pointed to distinctive features: the formation of the O in Donald, a long horizontal stroke at the end of the name, similar pen pressure, stroke length. Oh, sorry, I got distracted. Similar pen pressure, stroke length, and formation across letters. She argued that the signature shows confidence and speed, which are harder to replicate in forgeries. Stroke length, confidence, and speed. I'd put that at the top of your dating profile. That's just me, though. Bash also compared signatures from the early 2000s, Trump's known signatures, and claimed that they, in fact, match. Some media and opinion writers have noticed that the signature does look like Trump's, or at least consistent with versions he's used in earlier years, and argue that Rather than excluding authenticity, the resemblance raises suspicion for forgery creators to replicate it precisely. No one has said definitively that it's not. The majority of people who specialize in this stuff, handwriting analysis, have said that, yeah, it's either absolutely him, but none of them has said that it's absolutely not him. So there is substantial debate. Some analysts are confident that the signature is Trump's, citing matching traits. Others are much more cautious or not committal, but none say that it's definitively not his. So it's like, like what? Make it make sense. Chris, did you want to come up and chat, buddy? Happy to send you a little note. So why is it then that we don't have full disclosure? How many lies do they need to tell to cover up for predators? How many? How many more lies have to be told to cover up for predators? Mike Johnson, why have you not sworn in Rep-elect Grijalva? Why not? I know, because it forces your hand. And you're going to have to come up with a reason why you don't want this to go public. Why? Why? Why are you afraid to do it? We know why, unless you do something about it. We know that you're protecting your boss and other people. Now, are you protecting Steve Bannon? Are you protecting Peter Thiel? Are you protecting Elon? Because their names have just surfaced on information released by Democrats. Funny how the Republicans got all up in their shit that this information was released by Democrats on the Oversight Committee. Notice that the Republicans have not responded with any names of prominent Democrats. Why is that? Why is that? Why do we think that is? I know why, but I don't want to force the issue. The last little thing that I wanted to discuss here is the claim that the right is still making that the DOJ subpoenaing the grand jury testimonies from the Maxwell and Epstein case was a cover-up. Was that Democratic appointed judges are covering this up and not allowing the information to be released. So we did some checking on that. Judge Richard Berman and Judge Engelmeyer are the ones that are involved. Okay? Richard Berman, in August of 2025, what do you got? Hey, come here. Come here. Can't have that. Sorry, buddy. Sorry. Nope, can't have that. Dogs. August of 2025, Judge Berman denied a motion by the Justice Department to unseal grand jury transcripts in Epstein's trafficking case. Berman reasoned that the transcripts in question consist of about 70 pages of testimony from a single FBI agent who had no direct knowledge of the case and whose testimony was mostly hearsay. He wrote that the information in those grand jury materials is, quotes, pales in comparison to the Epstein investigative information and materials that are already in the hands of the DOJ. Wow. Berman also characterized the DOJ's attempt to unseal grand jury transcripts as, quote, diversion from the much larger trove of documents already held by the government. He said that the government is the, quote, logical party to make comprehensive disclosures of the Epstein files rather than releasing a small sliver of a grand jury material. He emphasized concerns such as possible threats to victims' privacy and the risk to grand jury secrecy as additional reasons to deny unsealing. Judge Engelmeyer denied a similar request concerning grand jury transcripts in the case tied to Maxwell. Engelmeyer stressed that under federal law, the release of grand jury materials is rarely permitted and should not be done casually or promiscuously. He asserted the transcripts would yield next to nothing new to the public given what is already on the record and in possession of the DOJ. Engelmeyer criticized the DOJ's justification for unsealing, calling the premise that the transcripts would meaningfully advance public knowledge demonstrably false. He also suggested that the request might be intended more to create the appearance of transparency than to actually reveal new information. Funny. Funny, if you just dig a little bit, you could find it out. So once again, here we are. We've got 435 members of Congress. 435. The easiest vote they could ever make in their lives. We stand with survivors. Or We stand with people who are connected to this, who are connected to some of the most despicable, disgusting, and revolting crimes imaginable. Trafficking, rape, abuse, manipulation, etc., 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 against girls in this case. Boys as well, we don't know. Girls, not young women, girls. And the argument from the right is questioning their credibility. It's quite the flex. That's quite the flex. We know that information that we have that's been made available to us without the oversight committee was released during the Biden administration because they got permission from the court to do so. You can try that argument too if you want. That fails. You were told that this was fake. You were told that it's a hoax. If it's a hoax, then why are you afraid to have the information go public? If it's made up by Democrats to protect Democrats, then why are you afraid to have it go public? Explain it. Baseball 2024. You seem like you have a lot to say from the chat. So I can't, you have one follower. You're not even a real account. Simple. It's really, really simple. The Christian right cannot recover from this. They can't. They can't recover from it. And it's our job to keep the pressure on. It's our job to continue to remind them every single day, every single day, what it is that they're covering up, what it is that they're hiding. So here's a little tip. When they say to you, why wasn't that information released by the Biden administration? You can say, you're right. They should have, but now it's in Trump's hands. Can we get all of it now? Don't let them have the argument. You're right. You're right. It should have come out. It absolutely should have come out. I don't know why it didn't. It should have, but now it's in Trump's hand. There's nothing Joe Biden can do about it. So let's get it all out there, right? Let's get it all released. Okay, cool. What are they going to say? What are they going to say? You can't have it both ways. You can't say it should have come out under Biden, but now that it's no longer Biden, what about Biden? Now that it's no longer him, it's in the hands of the Trump DOJ. The Trump DOJ that's lied about it and lied about it and lied about it and lied about it and will use whatever they can to distract. We'll use a bullshit indictment against James Comey. We'll use threats of going into war-ravaged Portland or whatever war-ravaged city next. A petition the Supreme Court to overturn birthright citizenship, which is in the Constitution. Asking the Supreme Court to look at other judicial decisions, including those pushed by Clarence Thomas. Same-sex marriage, contraception, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Last time I checked, it's probably a lot of MAGA moms and dads that are making sure that their daughters and sons are protected, right? Oh, unless you think that they're not having sex, right? I'm sure good conservative Christians, young children, their teenagers are not having sex at all, right? Of course not. They're not having premarital sex. Of course they aren't. Because that'd be dirty, sinful, shameful. Can't have that. Probably because you never talked to your kids about it when they were young. You never talked about age-appropriate sex ed. You never talked about why it's important to have these discussions, to be honest, to be sincere, to talk about body parts, to identify them the right way. Talk about what consent means. I think your boy's guilty. And I'll continue to think that until we get the information to contradict it otherwise. If he's not, then it's even more reason to put the information out there. Why then did you spend all this time and effort having the Department of Justice, the FBI agents go through it, comb the records from top to bottom, day after day after day after day after day after day after day? Upwards of 1,000 FBI personnel? If that's the case, then why don't you just have it released? Why are you trying to protect it? If you think I'm going to stop talking about this, you're wrong. Antifa here, and anti-predator as well. So if you're not Antifa, then you're pro-fa. You're pro-fascist, right? Anywho. I think we'll wrap there. Oh, wow. Sam, I think you're going to be all set. You've got someone who's willing to take good care of you, apparently. Who are we going to raid, guys? Danny's live. Actually, we're going to raid Danny. Danny joined us earlier in case you missed it. I'm sure we'll win the appeal. We'll likely be back on the main tomorrow morning. Listen, friends, we're going to keep doing this. These conversations are going to continue. I have a lot of faith in our community that we can have these in-depth conversations and ask you guys to put 2 and 2 together. Because it tracks with what we're trying to cover here, because we're defenders of democracy. We're defenders of free speech. We're defenders of women's rights. I believe women. I will always do that. So thank you all for being here. Mods, I love you guys. Thank you guys. Join the Discord. I say, everybody, please join the Discord. You can find the link in the bio. If you've not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, because a change is going to come soon, please do that. Go rate Danny. Tell her we said hi.